We know as liberals that no matter how good the government is, government don't win election. It's parties win election. And that is why we know that we are slowly working to get the party ready. We're not depend no haste. We're not in no haste. We have work to do. We have projects to complete, and we have caretakers to install. But we are on track. We are carefully checking our candidates' backgrounds, their finances and connections to
Greetings, 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 greetings. Blessings, 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 blessings on you all. Chops Media is live. Live. Let's see who we got. We have a few little things to chit chat about. So let's see who is going to. Yep. All right, there you have it. All right, folks, so stand by. We are live in colors. Check. Check.
Mass meeting, Senator. When Shahini entered the meeting and she touched the platform, you could feel the love emanating from supporters who right across Jamaica. She was a firebrand. She was something to be.
Full of flavor, no if or no maybe. Malta, my crave on a daily. I couldn't ask for a better cold glass. Coffee can't pass from this. My Malta, my pocket with me. You know my got it with me. I feel have a buckle for myself. Yesterday the shop locked, so today me come back. 2 new flavors on the shelf. Me say me see it and me grab it and me love it and buy it. My mommy take it and she pull it and try it. She say Malta in the morning, afternoon or night. And she finish it, she don't need no help. Drink them all. Coffee or vanilla, the Jamaican original. Have it with me lunch and my dinner. Ginseng with the ginger make you settle and you simmer. Good feed the baller and the singer. Make you feel good and it tastes real nice. Better when cool, so we put it on ice. Take a sip once, if you take a sip twice. Mother full of flavor for life. Mother full of flavor for life.
Oh, you would have feel. Don't do that. Oh, you would have feel. Never want it back.
Hi, my name is Sonoya Boros, and together with my husband, Brenton, we started an online children's store called Shop 876 Kids. We pride ourselves in carrying the widest variety of children's items, including room decor, baby supplies, educational supplies, clothing, and every child's dream, the hottest and latest toys. Our ultimate dream for this business is to become the #1 resource for children items in Jamaica, and dare I say the Caribbean. But you know, they say if your dream doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. Through my research, I found out about Sagicor Bank Payment Gateway Solutions, and I used it for my business because they had the best rates, excellent customer service, and they're a safe and reliable platform for my customers to use. COVID-19 has certainly changed our lives, but out of adversity comes opportunity. Look at me, pharmacist turned web developer turned website owner. Look for that need and supply that service or product.
All right, so greetings, everybody. Greetings. Tell a friend. I know it's a little bit surprising. Morning, Angela. How are you? I know it's a little bit surprising. Ooh, what are we doing on live, huh? Haven't done this in a minute, but just to let you know that we're still here. We're still keeping our polls lined up to the Jamaican people, and we continue to to observe what's happening on the local scene. So yes, we are live. We are actually live. Yes, it's 12:02 on the 18th of September, the day that was designated the day of mourning for the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. However, I gather that that has changed. But yes, we're live. We're live. It's actually 12:02, like I said, 2 minutes after midday. So we are live. Tell your friend that we're live. Let's come through and talk a little bit of politics. Big up, big up, big up, Orlando Peters. How you doing? Dr. Lynch, good to see you. Nice. Good, good, good. So share the link, folks. And as usual, tell a friend that we're on. We're live. We are live on our YouTube channel, and of course, you can go ahead and share the link on your Facebook pages if you so desire. But big up, big up, big up! You guys are in touch, man. I see Monique, Dr. Lynch is here, Alanda Peters is here, Angela Martin is here, and I know a few others are coming. We let's talk some politics, man, because I know a lot of stuff is happening out there, and I am curious to understand why is it that we have such a low voter turnout. Well, sorry, not low voter turnout, but low turnout for conference. Yes, Jacko, my brethren, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up to Jacko. I can see that Western St. Andrew is representing big. I see some of my G2K. I see some of my young Jamaica friends coming in. Well, rock and Camino, let's talk. Let's discuss what's happening in this here conference, such people's conference today, I gather. You know, I have some very interesting voice notes to share with you and some very interesting community reports to share with you as to what the conference turnout is like. Well, let me check for audio. Let me check to make sure that you guys are hearing me loud and clear. Are you guys hearing me loud and clear? And if there isn't an issue, I will continue. Showtime Extreme. Not at all. Not at all, Showtime. No goodbyes to Facebook. Unfortunately, my Facebook account had been hacked for quite a while, and I was unable to get it situated. But we're working on it, so that should be back up very soon. But we have not, and we will never, ever walk away from Facebook. Facebook is our home. That's where we started, and we'll never neglect that. But we're going to share the link on the media and Chopping Block Facebook page as well, so persons will not miss out. But YouTube is where we're at, so we're gonna do it where we can for now until everything is back in place and everything is up and running. It's been a good while, good New York minute that we have done this, so bear with me, and let me just apologize to the folks who have looked forward to us coming on and having these discussions, and we haven't done it in a while, so my apologies for those who have been looking forward to us doing our live and having our continuous political discussions. We've taken a break for quite a while, and we are back. I see Western Jamaica is being represented as well. Blessings on you, Sir Harvey. Good to see you, sir. Spread the word. Tell a friend. Tweet a friend. Call a friend. Tell a friend. We're live. We're live on YouTube. Chaps Media. And we're talking about the low turnout for the conference today. Persons are calling me, asking me if it's true that the conference was canceled. And I said I had no such report. But I guess those questions came because of the obvious low turnout for persons going to conference. I have no answers for that because I really and truly don't know.
Ensure that only the best are.
I don't know why there is such a low turnout for the PNP's conference. I am hoping that Jamaica Labour Party conference this year. I am hoping so. I have not had any official report that there will be. Custos Brown, I greet you well. Hi, Karen. How you doing? Welcome. So I don't know. But one thing I can tell you that there is a low turnout for conference. Now, folks, there's a lot of things that we need to look at because a low turnout for conference usually sends a particular political signal. I cannot tell you what that is, but one thing I will tell you is that it doesn't look good for any party, whether it's a Jamaica Labour Party or it's a People's National Party, when the tool that is used to motivate and mobilize your base stop functioning or not responding, that is when you need to take, as I like to say, take stock. Yeah? No matter the polls, no matter all that you see going on, when you use the most effective tool to motivate and mobilize your base, and your base doesn't respond to it, you should really and truly start to take a deeper look at yourself because something is wrong. Something is wrong. And that's what we're noticing. There are persons from various communities who are reporting that their community used to be a very active area when it comes to local mobilization for the People's National Party. And this morning, they saw nothing. In some areas, there wasn't even a bus provided for persons to go to conference. Now, everybody knows that I am not one who celebrates a weak opposition. Because for our democracy to work and to work effectively, you really need a good opposition. Now, notwithstanding that, if you don't have a good opposition, then as the party leader had said in 2016 at his inauguration speech, that he relies heavily on us, on party supporters, to really and truly give them that level of, not opposition, but hold them accountable. And that's what we will do. We will continue to hold our party accountable and to keep our party strong. So I don't think that person should get excited. A weak opposition usually amounts to a weak government. Our case is very unique because as weak as an opposition we have, we still maintain a strong, very strong government. Anthony, I see you, my brother. I greet you well. I'm happy you're here. Custos Brown, good to see you again, man. Karen, good to see you. So you see who are the foundation people, huh? Mr. Diagala, good to see you, sir. You see the foundation persons are here and they're here early, even without notice. Now, folks, we're gonna be coming back on air live to have more political discussions in a matter of weeks. Today is just a matter of checking to see whether or not the wheels of Chops Media, if it's working. As I've said to you before, we're not able to access the YouTube channel just yet, but the Facebook channel. But in a matter of weeks, we should be able to get that back up and running, and we should be in good stead. So tell a friend that we're here. Feel free to give us a call if you want to talk to us about what's happening in your area where the conference is concerned. Is there heavy mobilization in your area? You can hit us up on WhatsApp, 876-866-0695. That's 866-0695. Hit us up if you want to have a discussion on that. Give us a report from your area so we can understand what is really happening. It's important, folks, that we keep in touch and understand what is happening politically, because we really and truly having some issues where that is concerned. Mr. Diagla says, I live in PNP country. I'm the capital, and I count 11 persons going to conference. That don't look good. And Sir D, Mr. Harvey, he is speaking to us from the western end of the country, where people really, dubbed it PNP country. And when you see that level of weakness, it says a lot, It does. And I've said it here many times before, that for the PNP to regain any credibility at all among the Jamaican people, one of the things that they have to do is to apologize and accept responsibility for what they have done, especially during the 1990s. The 1990s was an era and a period in which Jamaica suffered, and they suffer and lost an entire generation. That 18 and a half years plus another 4 years between 2011 and 2016 would have hurt Jamaica significantly. When young people today ask why I'm struggling, when a 25-year-old asks in today's society, why is it difficult for me to move forward? Why am I not able to be as comfortable as a person living in first world country? When young people ask these questions, the answer is as clear as day. And my answer to them usually is, the government of the People's National Party during the 1990s would have failed us. They failed, and they failed miserably. Because at the time when they had an economic collapse, the entire globe was growing. Every country, pretty much. There are countries during the 1990s who have had upwards of 12 and 14% growth in their economy. Yet we went backward, and we have to tell our young people that those are some of the reasons why we are where we are. And we can't hide things from them anymore. We need to open up. Now, for the PNP to develop or to get any credit, and say to them that, look, we have erred. Crop of people to go down the same line. You're going to be bold. We have a poll that came out of two polls came out. You have the Dan Anderson poll and you have the Blue Dot poll, both of which have some very staggering numbers. Surprising to some people, not surprising to some. To be brutally honest with you, I wasn't expecting any improvement on the part of the opposition, because for them to improve, you have to see it out in the field. You would have to feel that improvement in what they do, how they speak, what issues they are bringing, and we have not seen that on the ground. Instead, what you've been seeing is a continuation of the same old, oppose for opposing sake, creating headlines to get traction. And that sort of rhetoric, really and truly, in today's politics, will not get you anywhere, because people are more informed these days, people are more educated, and people are separating themselves from that style of communication where you come with innuendos and assumption and assertions and people buy into it. People are fact-checking everything that you say in real time. You speak it, they fact-check immediately. That's the type of society we're living in. Has the PNP been able to recognize that the politics has changed? I don't think so. Still believe that they are living in a very arcade style. They still believe that the old, same old is going to propel them into leadership of this country. It's not going to. I don't think everything is perfect with what we have now, but certainly it's way better. And that's exactly what the poll is saying. The poll is saying. And in some instances, the poll gave some very low grade government. But in saying that, they continue to have confidence in the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. That is important. I think the Jamaica Labour Party need to capitalize on those persons who still believe that in spite of going through a pandemic, one of the greatest global crises we have seen in modern history, and to go through without a collapse of the country's economy, this is something that we should really and truly celebrate, because I keep asking some friends of mine the question, if it was not the JLP in office, how that we would fare? How would we end up on this side of the COVID pandemic? Would we have gone to the IMF similar to what Barbados had to do? Because make no mistake, what we see happening in countries like Barbados, where our opposition align themselves to the policies of Mayor Motley. And I'm saying to myself, wow, even if one was thinking that perhaps they might have a good point in recommending what Barbados did, we would have seen as clear as day what the results of such action brought onto Barbados. They are now on their way back to the International Monetary Fund. And I'm not saying that it is far-fetched. You never know. You never know what could happen to me in the future. Because to be honest with you, there are many things that can cause us to go to the IMF. It doesn't have to be bad economic policies. You could pursue the best economic policies, but circumstances beyond any of us control plunge us back into the IMF. Well, if there's something that we can take some comfort in, is the fact that one of the worst disasters that could have ever hit would have been COVID. Because even during the highest hurricane in this country, we have never shut down the country the way COVID had forced us to shut it down. I mean, in the midst of a storm, we clean up and we're back up and running again. So the worst disaster that we could ever face would have been COVID. And if COVID did not plunge us back into, then I'm very confident that we can weather just about anything else. So in our case, the circumstances that could push us there, we have insulated ourselves against it and are doing very well. It is kind of sad that Barbados find themselves into that situation based on, I would want to say, some poor decision. Our opposition leader was recommending that we use 4% of GDP, 2% of GDP, to just basically give people more money in their hand. And, you know, folks, that is what makes the difference between the two political parties. It says it in the names, you know. One is Jamaica Labour Party and the other is People's National Party. You would fairly say that the PNP, and how I usually narrow it down is that one teaches you to fish and the other gives you a fish. Which of the two political parties do you think practice to teach people to fish? And which one do you think teaches people how to fish? Let me know. Let me know. Blessings to you, Duval. Good to see you, my brother. Yeah. That's where it comes. So, tell a friend, folks. We're live. We're going to be joined by my friend over there in St. Mary, who is going to give us a report on what's happening in his neck of the woods. I was surprised this morning when he pointed out to me some of the things that were happening in St. Mary. And St. Mary, as you know, and anybody here who's from St. Mary can attest to this, St. Mary was a very strong parish. And our constituency in St. Mary, when in 1980, when there was the biggest political landslide in Jamaica's history, the biggest political tsunami, there are places and constituencies in St. Mary that never switch. Never change. Even when in Westmoreland, which is the PNP country, when constituency there had moved away from the PNP, those places in St. Mary remained steadfast. Today, it's so funny that nothing at all was happening in St. Mary. Nothing at all was happening. Nobody was prepared to board a bus. Nobody was prepared to board a bus. One person in St. Mary, another person in St. Anne told me that there's a particular corporate entity that was a very generous supporter of the People's National Party. And from time to time, they would give support for anything at all that the party is having. Traditionally, they would have sponsored up to 5 buses for conference. 5 of the biggest bus for conference. And I was told this morning that when they reached out to the CEO for the usual support, the CEO said, not so. Not this time. We are able at this time. Now, I can't tell you why. Because when I try to pry a little deeper to get a better understanding as to why would this prominent supporter decide not to support anymore, they said to me, we cannot support an organization that is anti the business community. And the source I was getting that information from is quite credible. If it wasn't a credible source, I wouldn't have repeated it. So that is what happened. That's what happened when you start to turn against the people that support you. When you start to set up Jamaicans to think that it's us against them. When you start to create that sort of narrative to make people believe that this is one set of Jamaicans against another set of Jamaicans, we're not going to have it. Same thing exists back in the 1970s. There's no difference. And that is why I keep saying to people, there's no changes where the People's National Party is concerned. They continue to parade along the same line. Nothing changed. It is the most consistent political movement I've ever seen. Nothing has changed. They remain steadfast in making people believe that it is two Jamaica and they must be against each other. That's why I believe in the philosophy of one of our founding fathers, Sir Alexander Bustamante, who believed that capital and labor must coexist. There has to be a very good link between capital and labor. And I will always admire that position taken by Sir Alexander. It is not about us versus them. In 1972, when the PNP came to office, that was the mantra on which they campaigned. That was how they presented themselves to the Jamaican people, that they were in support of one set of persons and the DLP was in support of another. Can't run a country like that. We cannot continue to divide our people. We cannot continue to divide our people. There are Jamaicans who, when you look at them, they appear to be 100% Caucasian when you look at them. But when they open their mouth, they are 100% Jamaican. And now you can understand the essence behind our motto, out of many one people. So there's no two. And when the PNP tried to set up this system, us versus them, you pay the political price for it. And right now, they are paying the political price because nobody wants to support them. What is the saving grace for the PNP this morning is that there are so many people within their organization that is financially. So they can afford, between Mark Golding and Peter Bunting and a couple of others on the outskirt, they can afford that entire conference from their breast pocket. And that's a good thing about them, because they have done enough while they were in office. Feather in their nest. They have done enough to ensure that they have capital to fight a financial/political war. So they don't have to necessarily rely on what we call private sector support. They can go it alone. And it seemed to me like that is what they've been doing, is just basically going it alone. Cheryl Smith, how are you? Right? So that low turnout in St. Anne, in St. Mary, I gather, as Mr. Diagala said just now, there aren't enough persons mobilized in Westmoreland, right? So that is going to be cause for concern. I saw a clip that was being played earlier that Mark Golding is calling on Portia, because Portia, he said, had she been around some of what he's going through today, he would not have to face those. So that tell you where the opposition is at the moment. I'm still waiting on a couple of friends to join us. They are queuing up their devices. They are queuing up their devices. And we can criticize as much, but there's also criticism to level against the JLP as well. There are so many areas of concerns. And I want to talk about crime. I want to talk about the economy. I want to talk about, as you know, conference. I want to talk about some of the issues that are facing Jamaicans. I want to talk about the back to school and how folks are creating crisis when there's none. I want to talk about those things. So I'm waiting on a few folks to join us as soon as we finish setting up those medium for that level of communication. One of my good friends here, my learned friend, is asking, why is it that there's so many laborites on YouTube commenting on them funeral? I meant conference. Oh boy, it's democracy at work, my friend. Democracy at work, and yes, persons are allowed to go over there and have their conversation if they want to. We want to focus on some solutions to some of the issues that we face. My friend Anthony is saying, how can financial PNP faction who are leading the party continue to hold the hardcore PNP proliferator who won't demand government handout? Well, that's a very good question. You see, those persons have put themselves in a position where they and I think a part of it, they were deliberate. They were deliberate in doing so. You know, they were deliberate in setting them up so that they can come back and give support. Remember some of that these guys struck during the PNP administration, you know. They were not by coincidence. Yeah. So, you know, it's not by coincidence that they got all sort of lucrative deals. They got it with the intention to give back. A lot of stuff to unpack. A lot of stuff to unpack. So let me start with as they try to set up this phone system here. Well, the numbers again is 866-0675. 876-866-0675. The numbers that you can call if you want to participate in our little chit chat. Yes, we're live. It's no joke. It's September 18th, 2022. Yes, you're correct. We are live. And it's been a while that we haven't done this. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we are going to jump into some of these comments here. But stand by. We wait a second.
Hey, it's the girl Shensia with a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yang, everyone see wear a mask where the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth, you fi cover up that. Oh, 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 oh. Sanitize or get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test so you not have it. You can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test so you not have it. You can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down. Protect yourself and the people you're around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Yeah. Keep the numbers down.
Domestic conflicts are not ignored by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as they can result in serious injury or
Good
death.
afternoon, ma'am. I am Constable McIntyre, along with Constable Pierce. We received a telephone call re a domestic dispute at this location. Are you okay, ma'am?
Just me and my husband. We had a dispute. I was asking him some questions and he got all upset on me.
Yo, when I tell you to stop stressing me out, you're not here, you're not listen.
In these situations, we make sure that all parties involved are unharmed and prevent the situation from continuing or escalating. It's also our duty to inform the disputing parties that counseling is available to prevent a recurrence of the situation. If there is any evidence of harm to anyone, the police have a duty to commence an investigation. Help us to keep you safe. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, a force for good.
My name is Noel Chang. I'm a constable attached to the Mobile Reserve Division and the JCF SWAT team. I've been a member of this team for 2 fulfilling years. The training, of course, would have helped me to grow as well. I find it to be very fulfilling playing an active role in the crime fight and in developing my nation. Join the JCF and start a career.
And that's our job.
So in simple words, it's like a government organization that takes money that Jamaica earns from tourism and invests it into Jamaica, or
Pretty much. When we were formed, our act was designed that way, where we could actually charge a fee to every passenger coming into Jamaica. So airline passengers would pay $20 and cruise passengers would pay $2.
When I was looking through the list of projects that are fully or partially financed by TEF, I noticed that some of them were indeed directed at tourism, like Montego Bay welcome sign that was recently built. Yeah. But I noticed there are some projects that are not related to tourism whatsoever, like the Negril fire station or Sheriff's post office. So why does Tourism Enhancement Fund invest money into projects that are not related to tourism?
Well, it's hard to say what is not related to tourism. If you think about the appeal of a resort town in general, I mean, safety and security, let's take the fire station. In a resort town impacts tourism. I mean, who wants to travel to a destination where they're at risk should there be a fire or should they get sick so we consider all those factors in what makes a resort town an outstanding one and a safe one. We approach our projects like that to make sure that all the amenities are available in the resort towns and beyond. I mean, we have to consider that the entire Jamaica is a destination, and so we look at the merit of each project when it comes to our board to see how it can have a huge impact, good value for money in developing Jamaica as a destination.
I saw some comments in the internet after grand opening of Harmony Beach Park. Let me quote one, right? A good use of taxpayers' money. Finally, the taxes Jamaicans pay give them a good park to use in return. However, if I understand it right, this particular funding comes from taxes tourists pay, not from taxes Jamaicans pay.
Well, okay, so we collect the cruise and airline fees on behalf of central government, the TEF, and that then goes into the pool of the public's funds, which includes other taxes that come directly from the locals. Mm-hmm. So in general, it's the public's funds. And we operate with that in the back of our minds, that we have to be prudent in the way we spend the public's funds, and we have to ensure there's return on investment. Our return on investment really is the improvement of Destination Jamaica to the point where our arrival numbers increase. And so there are more passengers coming to Jamaica, so therefore they pay more fees. And that's how we have a return on our investment here at the TEF.
So, but in the end, though, the money that the tourists pay when they arrive, these are the kind of taxes, like the arrival tax is called, what do you call this?
It is called the TEF fees, and it's itemized on.
In an airline
right, exactly.
Right, and then it goes to the the pool in general. And until 2017, that was directly what was financing you, is it?
Exactly. It was coming straight to us, and we would have the accounts and so on. What we didn't use, we would have on investment accounts, but in the government's wisdom, they thought it was better management and better cash flow if it came into the consol fund. And then for our annual budget, we then send that into them for what we call warrants each month of monies coming from the consol fund for us to execute our projects.
The lack of funds is usually one of the most important reasons why projects don't get completed. But of course, money would mean nothing without proper management and the actual construction work. The project was designed and is currently managed by a company I mentioned earlier, Urban Development Corporation. You might have never heard of UDC, but the chances are you have used their services, even if you're a tourist coming to Jamaica for just a few days. Now I'm showing you the footage of the world-famous attraction and Jamaica's national treasure, Dunsriver Falls. And if you're wondering how's that relevant, well, Dunsriver Falls are a project run by UDC. Green Grotto Caves and Reach Falls are two other examples of attractions that also belong to UDC. But the company doesn't just focus on tourist sites. UDC has a portfolio of all sorts of projects spanning different sectors and parishes.
All right, so there you have it. That's a good way for us to even look at the other discussion, which is on the whole attraction in Negril, which is what persons refer to as the Negril sign. Well, the Negril sign is not just a sign, as most of you would be aware now. It is not just a sign, it is more of an attraction. And truth be told, that attraction is now yielding significant results. Which is how it's supposed to be. When you create these sort of attractions, let me just come back to this real quick. Thank you guys for staying with us. Thank you for staying with us. But yes, that last clip that we show of UDC and how TEF funds are utilized to enhance Jamaica as a tourism destination. I don't know how, because sometimes I look at these comments and I see where persons are very, very adamant that monies from TEF or whatever should not be utilized in these ways. Now, like I said to you before, that sign that everybody is having a tizzy over immediately has proven itself to be a very successful venture, because the amount of tourists and locals that we have seen so far taking pictures of it and posting it online, and it's clocking a lot of numbers all over the world. If you're short-sighted, if you're somebody who don't have a vision and who are, you're just unable to see things beyond your own nose, then you would make certain comments, But hey, Bridget, how you doing? Sunny days. What's going on? But when you can see beyond just the norm, you will understand and appreciate stuff like the Negril, welcome to Negril science. I personally believe that it should have cost more money and it should have been more elaborate, because when you're doing these things, you have to do them big. I like the welcome to Montego Bay sign, but that welcome to Montego Bay sign should have cost about $50 million. And it should have been something elevated all the way up, rotating all over. And beneath the sign should be an attraction where people come out, be entertained, can have a drink, a welcome cocktail, what have you. That is how it's supposed to be. We have to go big. We have to do things different from the norm. And we have to do things that when we leave, it live on. There are some things in Jamaica now that we are inheriting. We are celebrating. But they are not stuff that we did. They were done by persons way before us, but yet we are still celebrating those stuff. So that's why when we take decision to build infrastructure or to create attraction, there has to be stuff that is tangible enough that will outlive the current administration. That is how you build a country. That is how you build a nation. You build it because you can think ahead. Now, for persons who have an issue with the sign in Negril, it is very unfortunate, because stuff like that, we should be able to see what the benefit is overall. Immediately, within a matter of days, that particular sign become the most photographed on the island. And what persons must realize, take a look at Hollywood sign. Hollywood sign has rocked in millions of dollars for the United States. Millions. As a matter of fact, it was copywritten way back in the 70s. And that sign has rocked up millions of dollars into the government coffers. The same thing can be done with our local signs if it is managed properly. And that's why I say to people, when we're talking about $12 million, it should have been more. We should have built something even more elaborate, bigger, right? And just prepare yourself. That means the generation that comes after us can enjoy it. So it is only persons with really low vision that really complain about these things. I don't believe that persons with far sight and can see beyond will have an issue with it. So that is not something for us to complain about. As it relates to the cost versus what we're looking at, I hear a lot of people complain about, we're paying $12 million for a sign. The $12 million is not for the sign, it's not $12 million for the letters that are there. You have to look at infrastructure around it, preparing. I don't know if anybody know what the cost is for a truckload of asphalt. The entire area leading to the sign was asphalted. That alone of itself is about $500,000 for a truckload of asphalt. Talking about concrete work, you're talking about excavation, you're talking about retaining walls, you're talking about lighting, you're talking about rails. Look, if you know about construction, you can go there. I agree, because when I look at the back of it, the stone wall to the back, the finish could have been a lot better. And that's my criticism of it. I think the finish at the back could have been a lot smoother. But these are things that I don't want to refer to them as cosmetics, but these are things that you could easily remedy. You could fix those. But overall, I think we got value for money, and I think it's going to pay for itself tenfold in very, very short order. Sunny days, how you doing? And Bridget, welcome. Karen, good to see you. Yes, that feature on Harmony Park was very good. That lady has done a lot of documentaries, and that particular one was very interesting because she went in depth and she got the information correct and she spoke to the relevant and the right persons. So it was well presented. So that's why I had to share it with you guys. Sir D, I don't know if you want to hop on for a quick moment, but we just have a few more minutes to head out of town. Like I said, we're just testing the platform to see that everything is moving so that when we get started in another few weeks, we'll be back up and running. Yes, but Karen, I shared that video already. And like I said, what I shared just now is just an excerpt from it. It's a longer documentary on Harmony Park. And like I said, it really speaks to the intricacies of how the funding, the TEF funding, Tourism Enhancement Fund, how it is spent. That's what they were really highlighting. Well, it's the same Tourism Enhancement Fund that is utilized to create these signs. Because what people fail to recognize is not just Dunsmuir Falls and beaches and white sand that is part of Jamaica's attraction. Jamaica tourist attraction is the Jamaican product itself. And a matter of fact, what we probably need to start doing now is, and I've said this before, is that we need to start creating more attraction throughout Jamaica. We need to create more attractions throughout Jamaica. I'm going to play this excerpt one more time, take a quick break, line something up, and come right back. But I think quite a few persons are inboxing me and asking me to play it again. But like I said, folks, it really speaks to Harmony Park and how the TEF funds were utilized. So stand by. We're going to be right back.
And that's our job.
So in simple words, it's like a government organization that takes money that Jamaica earns from tourism and invests it into Jamaica, or
pretty much. When we were formed, our act was designed that way, where we could actually charge a fee to every passenger coming into Jamaica. So airline passengers would pay $20 and cruise passengers would pay $2.
When I was looking through the list of projects that are fully or partially financed by TEF, I noticed that some of them were indeed directed at tourism, like Montego Bay welcome sign that was recently built. Yeah. But I noticed there are some projects that are not related to tourism whatsoever, like the Negril fire station or Sheriff's post office. So why does Tourism Enhancement Fund invest money into projects that are not related to tourism?
Well, it's hard to say what is not related to tourism. If you think about the appeal of a resort town in general, safety and security, let's take the fire station. In a resort town impacts tourism. Who wants to travel to a destination where they're at risk should there be a fire or should they get sick so we consider all those factors in what makes a resort town an outstanding one and a safe one. And we approach our projects like that to make sure that all the amenities are available in the resort towns and beyond. We have to consider that the entire Jamaica is a destination, and so we look at the merit of each project when it comes to our board to see how it can have a huge impact, good value for money in developing Jamaica as a destination.
I saw some comments in the internet after grand opening of Harmony Beach Park. Let me quote one, right? A good use of taxpayers' money. Finally, the taxes Jamaicans pay give them a good park to use in return. However, if I understand it right, this particular funding comes from taxes tourists pay, not from taxes Jamaicans pay.
Well, okay, so we collect the cruise and airline fees on behalf of central government, the TEF, and that then goes into the pool of the public's funds, which includes other taxes that come directly from the locals. Mm-hmm. So in general, it's the public's funds. And we operate with that in the back of our minds, that we have to be prudent in the way we spend the public's funds, and we have to ensure there's return on investment. Our return on investment really is the improvement of Destination Jamaica to the point where our arrival numbers increase. And so there are more passengers coming to Jamaica, so therefore they pay more fees. And that's how we have a return on our investment here at the TEF.
So, but in the end, though, the money that the tourists pay when they arrive, these are the kind of taxes, like the arrival tax is called, what do you call this?
It is called the TEF fees, and it's itemized
and it's
on.
included in the airline
Right,
ticket,
exactly.
Right, and then it goes to the like the pool in general. And until 2017, that was directly what was financing you.
Exactly, it would coming straight to us, and we would have the accounts and so on. What we didn't use, we would have on investment accounts. But in the government's wisdom, they thought it was better management and better cash flow if it came into the consul fund, and then for our annual budget, we then send that into them for what we call warrants each month of monies coming from the consul fund for us to execute our projects.
The lack of funds is usually one of the most important reasons why projects don't get completed. But of course, money would mean nothing without proper management and the actual construction work. The project was designed and is currently managed by a company I mentioned earlier, Urban Development Corporation. You might have never heard of UDC, but the chances are you have used their services, even if you're a tourist coming to Jamaica for just a few days. Now I'm showing you the footage of the world-famous attraction and Jamaica's national treasure, Dunn's River Falls. And if you're wondering how's that relevant, well, Dunn's River Falls are a project run by UDC. Green Grotto Caves and Reach Falls are two other examples of attractions that also belong to UDC. But the company doesn't just focus on tourist sites. UDC has a portfolio of all sorts of projects spanning different sectors and parishes.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. For those of you who missed it before, they have it again. And like I said, that is just an excerpt from the full documentary. So it's a very, very informative one. And like I said, it delved deep into how TEF fundings work. Anyhow, before we head out of town, 86606. Some of the calls are coming in, but for whatever reason, I don't know. We're trying to set up this additional device that will help us to stream calls. We have a little bit of glitch where that is concerned. So, but we work it out. We will work it out. Egg Dread, Marjorie. Boy, I tell you. Your platform is moving. The person's criticized. The cost of the sign are one to spend taxpayer money with nothing to show. Remember the cost of the famous London Sheldon trip. I remember. And that's why I said, I'm happy that irrespective of the campaign that the PNP is currently running, where they're using headlines to attract attention, it's not really working because a lot of persons are not buying into it. And the poll says it. The poll really says even if persons are having COVID fatigue in terms of growth, individual growth and economic growth, they are still saying that irrespective of that, the Jamaica Labour Party is still their best option to grow the country's economy. And that to me is significant because it doesn't matter how you slice and dice it. If the party didn't have something to offer, and if persons didn't see something within the GLP to connect to, then they wouldn't even consider. I see quite a few persons are you need to connect your microphone and your camera, or either or, before we can add you. Michael Brown, I see you trying to come through, and a couple of others who wants to join. I'm going to share the studio link in the chat so that whomever wants to join us can click on that link, and that will give you access to the studio and we can have the discussion. I still have a few minutes to wrap. So if you want to join us or so chat a little bit, then please feel free to do so. That sign will pay for itself in no time. I agree with you on that, Sunny Days. I agree with you, because the truth is you would have to be narrow-minded. You know, I tell people about the Hollywood sign all the time. That Hollywood sign really and truly proved to us that simple things can have great impact. That sign has been featured in thousands of movies, and I'm quite certain that it would have given yeah, I'm quite certain that it would have given persons yeah, you guys are trying to come through, but I can't seem to get the connection up. Hello? Greetings.
Sir Chopper, greetings, boss. Greetings.
Blessings to you, man. How you doing?
I'm here, sir. I'm here following what's going on the ground. I got him on for that. So have to be in here.
I'm happy that you're on, my brother, because I really needed to have this discussion with someone like you. I hear the voice. I think I know who I'm talking to.
Yes, indeed.
One of the clips I played just now is a clip where the documentary that featured Harmony Park. And Harmony Park in St. James was similar to what was created for Emancipation Park in Kingston. But what I noticed, Carla, is that every time that there's a development in Jamaica, that every time that you do something that can enhance Jamaica in a positive way, you have people coming all over of the woodworks to complain and to criticize, as if to suggest that Jamaica should stay in the same position for the next 20, 30 years. What say you?
Well, I must be clear. I came on probably after you played that documentary. So yes. I didn't get to hear the salvo of what it was all about. So I can't really speak on it because I was trying to log in.
Mm-hmm. No, but it really relating to the welcome sign in Montego Bay, which I really don't look at it as just a mere sign.
Okay. Attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, to me, that whole sign thing. Well, first of all, let me just go down the middle. I personally think when we do things like that, we need to get ahead of it. We cannot put out anything or allow the media to come and say, "Oh, a sign is
lead the conversation," because it's not just a sign; it's more of an attraction. Yeah,
exactly. We Jamaicans, when we think of sign, we think of a little sign that we nail up and paint up and put on a piece of poster or something.
There you go.
So it's all about the context and how we do it. So and once that take off, it's hard to pull back anything after that because it's a sign.
That's why communication is perhaps one of the biggest drawbacks that the current administration is facing. And when I say communication, I'm talking about leading the narrative as opposed to catching up on the narrative or countering the narrative.
Absolutely, brother. Because unfortunately, there's two things here. For people who are well traveled, which honestly I don't think a lot of Jamaicans, and secondly, the politics involved.
Yes.
People
Yes.
people are not going to understand that these attractions are something that is in the competitive tourism industry that we are in, which is our number one source of return. We have to be competitive with stuff like this, and it cannot be paid for when somebody take a picture and put it on their Instagram or on their TikTok or whatever other social media they have. The commercialization of that sign, whether it's the Montego Bay sign or the Negril sign, we cannot buy that advertisement. We can't pay for it. No way, no how. We can't pay for that.
You remember? I mean, you are someone who travel, and you would know that the Hollywood sign would have been featured in thousands of movies all over the world. And I'm wondering if persons understand the impact that the Hollywood sign have on California, on the United States overall.
Absolutely. That is a landmark. Anybody who venture anywhere on the west coast of the United States, they try their utmost best to get a photograph with that sign in the background.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and that is a world-renowned sign. Not because it's Hollywood, the place where movies are made, but because it's to say, this is Hollywood, I was there. Worldwide. You know what I mean? So it is something that leads back to communication. And I, for one, you know, really, and I know you because I follow you on your social media pages and all of that, and I see that you've been pounding the ground with the highs of the highs in the party. And listen, we need to get our act together and let people understand what these things really and truly do for our
country. We're joined by Michael Brown Sr., my good friend Mike Brown is on as well. I don't know if you can see him from where you're at, but Mikey, welcome. Well,
get some stuff sorted out. But yeah, man, I see Mikey.
You know, we've had these discussions from time to time, Mikey, and the welcome sign, we call it welcome sign. But really and truly, when you check it, it's an attraction. It is something that people who are coming into Negril, it's a statement. I have arrived. My vacation is not complete until I can post the sign that I actually went to Negril. Right? So posting Rick's Cafe now will not be the only statement or any other hotel or attraction on the North Coast, but the sign itself speaks. How do you feel, Mikey? Because I know you're on the ground and you've seen the comments regarding that sign. What say you on it?
Well, the first comment that really sparked my outrage was the PNP spokesman on education, who is a former junior minister in the tourism industry.
Yes.
And to the best of my recollection, he lectures tourism.
Oh, yes.
And he has demonstrated a lack of understanding of the issue. Because the first thing that really strike me as odd is when he call it a sign.
Right.
And then they say he likened it to an old-time saving pan. I mean,
coming from a lecturer in tourism.
Exactly. And when I hear other commentators speak about the one in Panama, the one in Curacao, and others, even the Hollywood one, as you mentioned.
Yes.
This is not a sign, you know. It is an identity. It is an identity. And when you think about what that will do for Negril and Jamaica, you know, we always hear the term paying it forward.
Yes.
But this doesn't cost taxpayers one dime, not 1 red cent.
Yeah, but Mikey, let me just interject there, because I don't want listeners and viewers to believe that all of us, well, we are all singing from the same hymn book. But let me just play devil's advocate for a moment. There are persons out there who says, look, any money that is collected on behalf of the Jamaican people is taxpayers' money. What say you on that?
I beg to differ. what happened is,
why do you think it's not taxpayers' money?
if you understand budgeting, right? The TEF was set up for a specific purpose.
Yes.
For a specific purpose. And that purpose does not include it being included in the consolidated fund or the government's wallet. It is supposed to be used for beautification and tourism development, and that's exactly what it's used for.
But as we know it, Young Dan, and we're joined also by Lorraine Mason. As Lorraine, your name is on the screen there, Lorraine Mason. How are you doing? Greetings to you. I hope that you can hear us. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah,
no?
I see her. She's on, but I can't hear her either.
Yeah, Lorraine, are you able to hear us? All right, so we'll hang tight for her to come back on. But
check your mute button, Lorraine. Check your mute button.
But let me ask you this though, Young Dan, while you're on it. The matter of whether or not the funds collected by TEF is taxpayers' money or not. What say you on that?
So all right, I'm gonna come to that, but before I come to that, just to piggyback off of what Mr. Brown was saying about the sign in Panama and another sign he quoted. I took the liberty of posting some of my own personal photographs that I take in my travels with just the exact thing.
Yes.
He said, with me posing in front of a sign in Aruba, in London, and other places, Trinidad and Tobago, we love Trinidad. With me, that's just to a point to people who follow me on social media, right? And then I found another picture online somewhere with Toronto and Florida and all of this Disney, all these things, just to prove, listen, guys, the monetary aspect of it, as I was saying, where it came on, even if it costs $20 million,
yes,
it's going to pay it way forward. And that brings me into the point of the tax office. And it's about communication again. It is taxpayers' money. It is. You know, we travel, we have family travel, friend travel, and they book a plane ticket and it's embedded in that price. And I know there's even additional tax that is for those who book rooms. I'm not expert in tourism, but I listen to this lady break it down numbers wise, just for Negril alone. How the money is broken down, and that I think it's like 4,000 rooms. You pay for the sign in no time at all, which in Negril takes nothing for it to sell 4,000 rooms. But again,
that's about 3 hotels in a week.
Right,
that's true.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But when we don't have when we don't have an electorate,
the advertisement benefit all the hotels collectively.
All the hotels, exactly. So it pays for itself and more and way more. But it goes back to other people who some don't understand the way taxing and these things work, and those who understand it, like the Ministry of Opposition and Tourism, our education, Mr. Crawford, who come on total BS. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That is, you know what I mean? So, what can I say? Thanks to people like Chops Media who, provide these platforms to discuss these things and how they're thumping the ground, addicting others and let it go because we have to do the work for the government right now.
Good. Well, while I have you guys, I'm going to try to milk it for all it's worth. The PNP conference is on today, Michael Brown Sr. I know you're an avid campaigner. And you would have seen several conferences, and Young Dan, you're the same too. You would have seen several conferences over time. The question I want to ask is: it is obvious that there is a low turnout and there's a low momentum for politics on a whole, but the PNP conference sort of cement that argument. What is causing and what have caused such a dismal turnout?
Can I jump in here first?
Yes.
So when you have a constituency chairman, a former member of parliament for the former prime minister constituency resigning days before. Stop, are you there? We lose him?
I'm here.
Days
yes.
Before. You don't need nothing more than that. No, I'll even go further. We have all been around conferences. And I've been saying for the longest time, whether you're what them call themselves One United or whatever their name is, because they got too much name now, resistance, all these things, right? They're all lying to themselves. They don't believe in themselves, none at all. Not even for an iota. Nobody's going to pick up $1 million, which is what it would cost from St. Elizabeth against the area to get a coaster bus, have lunch money for people, KFC lunch or whatever lunch they want, put some money in their pockets here and we plus refreshment.
So what's the cost? What's the cost for a bus to conference?
Huh?
What's the cost? What's the average cost for a bus to conference?
You could have from St. Elizabeth now, you can't, I mean, you call any one of the bus from them right now, you have to pull up probably $100,000, $150,000 just to move the bus.
And then you have to provide refreshment for the persons on
You have to have refreshment, you have to give them money in their pocket, you have to, and you have to buy them KFC.
When you say give them money in the pocket, is that you're buying people to go on the bus then? What's going on there?
No, it's a little incentive, you know, if, you know what I mean? They want to go and get some side food, some jerky chicken pan as well. Whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. People like to be incentivized, you know, for these.
So there's an incentive. So
it's something money. It's a 15 bills, it's $1,000. None, because them, before we side them, are already motivated. But we're talking about the other side.
Okay.
For that, I money to that. So,
well, the thing is on the top of.
Yes.
No,
hold on, Mikey. Let me let young Dan finish up. Go ahead, Dan.
No chairman or no MP caretaker not going to take out the money or go help the money right now. If you do that, to lose, so when they truly don't believe in that, no matter what they must say, on the media, in their heart, they know that it's a sinking ship they never. So there's no motivation.
But is that something good for democracy, young Dan? Is that good for democracy? But let me come back to you because I'm going to ask you about the whole benefit of having a weak opposition. But let me get your take on that, Michael Brown.
All right, you see, as PNP supporter right now is very heavy. Very heavy.
When you say heavy, what do you mean by that?
You can't give them no money for them to get on a bus to go to conference. Right? They're very heavy. And you know, what I find very telling is that the person who you can say is the most successful leader of the PNP joined the conference by Zoom.
Who's that?
PJ Patterson.
Wasn't that conference?
He joined by Zoom.
No, he joined by Zoom.
This is not very encouraging at all.
I've never seen that anywhere.
This is very telling. You're telling me that PJ Patterson joined the conference by Zoom?
Yes, he joined by Zoom.
Was Peter Phillips there?
I think I saw him.
Yes, he was. He was the most convincing speaker. He was.
Okay,
he
so
was
we're
the only one
Miss Mason is on as well. Miss Mason, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? He was the only one who spoke with some kind of hope. And he chided them, whether they were Michael Manley PNP or PJ PNP or Portia PNP, time come. That was his message. He was the most convincing because of all the speakers, he was the most convincing. I've turned it off just to join us here, which is our business we're discussing. But he was the most convincing because the rest of them weren't so convinced. They themselves, just the look on their faces, the posture, they did not believe what they were saying themselves.
Can I ask a question?
Exactly, Ms. Lord, they don't believe what they're saying themselves.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Michael Brown.
She said that that Peter Phillips named a certain named some people who people would align themselves with. Was Rise United one of those?
No, he said whether he spoke of the leaders. He spoke of Michael Manley. He said Michael Manley, he said Portia, he said Peter Phillips, he said PJ Patterson and Mark Golding. He didn't that's what he said. Though it's time come.
Answer your question, Michael, bro.
Well, it doesn't answer my question. Because what I've observed is that the problems that the PNP is having, especially in the western part of the island, is that there are people aligned to the Peter Bunting PNP.
Yes.
That is causing a problem.
I guess he chided them that they need to fall in line. That was his message for them to fall, and he made it clear that this is a platform for some truths to be told. And he also said that a house divided cannot stand, where PJ Patterson said he was alluding to the JLP to say that termites was in our house, so we are going to fall. That is the opposite of both.
While you're on that note, let me interject here now. Because if Percival James Patterson is saying to the audience that there ought to be some truth speaking here.
No, not PJ. Not PJ said that.
Peter Phillips.
Peter
Phillips said that this is the platform for some truth to be told. And he said a house divided cannot stand. But remember, PJ spoke before.
Well, it was a good opportunity for Peter Phillips to have made those comments and made them directly to PJ Patterson. Because if there's ever a leader in this country that needs to speak truth, it's PJ.
All right.
No, but
in his comment, clean is PJ. What say you, Dan?
In his comment, Chris, he said that they nothing no go so when they said nothing never happened for the 18 year. Because Peter Phillips is a benefactor of common entrance, where he and that was started through PNP.
He never built a school.
Hold on.
All right.
No, but he said that on the platform.
Okay, Miss Mason. We get the point. Right? Let's not talk about this. Now, somebody like you can come here and report that the most convincing speaker is PJ Patterson of all of them. And then
not PJ. No, I didn't say PJ. I said Peter Phillips.
Peter Phillips. Now, how did that spell for the party in general? Just think about it for a second. What does that spell? Now, are they gonna use this, which is gonna get on the social media, to hear the man who was under the water? Right? The man who
Michael and Dan, if you turn your phone landscape, I think it'll fit to your screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, stop.
Perfect. Just rotate yours, Mike.
That's fun. Just throw it out there.
Hold on there.
Yeah, man. Good. But Lorraine, I think it's important though that when these guys are talking,
you need
it's such a pity that I would not be so privileged to get them to have that conversation on air with a person like me, because I would ask them the question. If there's a moment for us to be factual and to be honest, let's start with ourselves. You know, I am being honest with the Jamaica Labour Party. They are performing. They are doing very well for this country. But the information about how well they are doing lies within their brains. And I'm happy that Robert Nesta Morgan is now the communications information minister, because it's the first time from I can remember that the information ministry, Don and Lorraine, it's the first time that I can recall that the information ministry is now a standalone ministry, even though it is still hinged to economic growth. But usually that's a ministry that is bundled with other stuff. And it says, what it says is that the JLP has never taken information dissemination seriously. They've never done it. They've never built out any network to communicate with the people. And that is why it doesn't matter how well they have done over the years. And them alone know
And that is why, Chris, it is important because when the PNP come on the platform with them kind of lie and speak it so convincingly, it is imperative that the JLP let people know say it's lie.
Right.
But you see, the thing is, I'm young to this, relatively long in the age of how politics work. And Chopper just spoke of what I'm happy that Robert is there too. And I heard Robert say when in 2011, when he was in the OPM or something of this, there was only one camera or something like that. One camera they had in they didn't even have a communications room, so to speak, right? Never have it. But when I think back as a youth and reflect, what the PNP government does and did is that they used JIS as their communication arm. As a party, not government, as a party.
Exactly. Yes,
because
that is exactly what they
remember, they had some creamish color bus or brown bus, vans.
Yes, man, they're still there.
That in communities and preach the message of the party.
They bring it to you. They used to come in the communities and they would bring a movie to the people. But in the movie, before the movie, during the movie, and after the movie, they would show government programs, government achievements. And these things resonate. However, though, one of the things that we have to recognize, though, is that we're in a different era. We're in a different time. I don't know how well that program would have done today when you have social media and you can pretty much get everything that they would bring to you right on your phone. What I think that we need to do, though, is to really and truly lead the stories.
Yes.
I think we're still fixated on the whole idea of let us wait and for the PNP to say something, and then we can counter them. Even though you're still on the facts. So we, instead of being proactive, we're practicing to be very effective at reacting. I don't think it's a successful strategy. You have to lead the conversation because when they lead the conversation, when you try to come back, it's not as effective because the message would have been out there already.
And also, Chris, we have to take into consideration that they have mainstream media backing them. They do not act as news media, they act as a party.
Absolutely.
They don't act as a media and to see how biased they are. But the good thing about it is we have information now, and that is why a lot of the things that they come and speak, people really just pay it with scant regards because people would have had access to information.
Correct. Welcome back, Mikey. I see you're
well. Yeah, man, thank you. Good. I think one of the things that is affecting them as well, is that they're coming across as a set of people seeking to pounce on something.
Right. So that's what's waiting for you to say something, and then they nitpick at it.
If you recall, when that erroneous article appeared in the Gleaner about the lands in Innswood as it relates to they plan a press conference.
Yes.
And I can only imagine what would have been said at that press conference. Yes. And they totally abandoned it. I don't think the media houses were notified that the press conference was called off. Yeah. And that doesn't spell good for them. It doesn't. At the same time, I think
go ahead, Mikey.
I have a criticism from my party along that same vein.
Yes.
Whereas when the PNP speak, they speak a lot about corruption and they like to talk about corruption and this and that and all of that. Then, you see, you will have certain penal measures in place to deal with any error in judgment on the part of any minister or anybody in government. And then when they err, you find that the PNP will say something, and what the party does is putting additional measures in place
to
prevent the committing of those things instead of using the penal measures. And then what you find is that we are setting ourselves up in a way that it makes it hard to even govern.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at the procurement process, the procurement procedures. It's difficult. If you burn out and the Ministry of Health of Social Security, Labor and Social Security, contact you 5 minutes after that fire, you're still sleeping outside tonight.
No emergency.
Yeah. You know, it is interesting that you said that, Michael, because that was a discussion that I've had with some persons from the municipal corporation, both from administrative side and our party, and we were saying that you govern, but you do not put things in place, remembering the politics, because you do some things and then it put you who is governing at a disadvantage to act on the people's behalf. It just this week that ended, we were having that kind of discussion.
So these are simple things, you know, that, for example, the persons who are going up for local government elections would want to, formulate policies to say to the people that when I go into local government, these are some of the things that I'm going to champion. Because I don't see, that's a very, very important one. There's no emergency system that says, let's do it here right now. Because it is so loaded with bureaucracy. And the bureaucracy that we're making is because of this over the years.
The Prime Minister's sister cannot serve on a board.
You remember a year or so ago, I would have challenged this nonsense about nepotism. And I will say it publicly. I don't care.
Look here, nepotism exists. Nepotism exists in eternity. Chapel, all right, I sell books. And if I know a particular book is short and I know Chopper's son want the book, and I know Michael's son want the book, I don't care who when come me, when hide it under one place and stay of the Chopper and Michael children. So I don't care, me no matter when nobody wants to, whether you want to polish it or not. It exists and it is something that we will have to deal with.
But Miss Mason, it's not even about that, honestly. Number one, Jamaica is just too small, right? And number two, if somebody is qualified to do the job.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
What we need to do though is put things in place. Because not perfect, you know. So anybody who is fit for the job can get the job for the position.
Let us look at nepotism real quick in the context that people are crying over.
We don't know what nepotism is.
If I go to office, if I get elected to office, and I am the Minister of Information, and I know Michael Brown Sr. as a qualified communicator, and I need somebody to head JIS. Michael Brown is a laborite. He lives in my constituency. He supported me before I got to that job. And now I am there. Who is better for me to hire? Should I hire somebody that is recommended
who is going to have my interest at heart?
Recommended by the opposition? Or do I hire somebody who I know, who I have confidence in, who is on the same path as I am?
Somebody who you trust as well.
That nepotism argument is rubbish.
Nonsense.
Rubbish.
I agree with you, Chopper.
Why should I hire somebody that you send me? Should I trust your judgment over mine? You got to be kidding
or
me.
Whose ideologies are not aligned with mine.
Exactly. And we have seen that. That is being played out in government right now. Where the austerity don't go well with prosperity.
No.
If you're going to the left and I'm going to the right,
right,
it can't work.
That's
true.
It is either I'm going to conform to you going left or you are going to conform with me going right.
Or there's going to be chaos.
It's nonsense. It's really nonsense. All right, I'm going to continue to pick the brains. because the elephant in the room, and I'm gonna have you all here. The elephant in the room, crime. But before I get to the whole broad crime, let us look at two things. There's a commissioner of police. There's a minister of national security. The polls recently touted some numbers saying that the commissioner of police is and the commission and the minister are failures. In the context, how do you view it? Michael Brown, we'll start with you again.
All right. Many times I hear people say, "Why if the government not to deal with crime, because look how crime." And I said, "Okay, fine. I hear you. What can the government do? Or what would you want to see the government do? Catch a criminal them and all them something." So I said, "So are you saying that instead of going to parliament, you want to see those 63 people come out here and catch criminals?" "No, but the police." I said, "Okay, so isn't the police doing that?" "No, but look how much time you see things going on, police not." I say, "You know about these things. Did you tell the police?" And they start finding all kind of excuse. And I cannot, for the life of me, accept that you are scared that the police will reveal who you are. In this day and age, there are so many ways you can give information anonymously. Because the thing is,
let me ask you this question: Why is the citizen being asked to give information? Why do you think that the citizen have a responsibility to give information?
They are the eyes on the ground.
Are they being paid to do that? Are you paying me to go out there and look for criminal and give information to the police? What's my salary for that? How much a week you pay me for that? I have a son and I have a 9 to 5. I have a responsibility to my family, to take care of my family. I pay taxes. I pay you, a police officer, to keep me secure. Why do you want me to do your job? I pay you. So why
look at the contrast. Look at the contrast.
Yes.
Because you are not doing it. Yes. Why you are in the position you're in?
No. I pay you.
They have the information, Michael.
I have my money
have the
and I
information.
pay for
They're
a service. Why am I not getting the service? Why are you putting the responsibility back on me?
It's not fully. It's not. Chava.
Just answer me, Mikey. Answer.
I know what you're doing, but
yeah. I just want somebody to do
like you and the police force. It's hard for me to. It's hard. Okay, go ahead.
If a citizen require payment to do what is their lawful duty.
What is my lawful duty?
Responsibility.
What is my fiduciary responsibility? To pay taxes and go to the bathroom. That's the only two things on earth I must do.
So you don't have a responsibility?
No.
To ensure that your environment.
Yes, I pay for that. Yes, I pay for it. Hello?
What do you pay for?
Before you're stunned.
What do you pay for?
I pay for you to do that service.
I pay for somebody to keep me and my family secure. I pay a 138 years old institution to keep me secure. I pay so that my minister can supply that institution with $50 billion worth of equipment. I pay. What more do you want from me, Michael Brown? Tell me.
All right. The fight against crime.
Yes.
Anywhere is a partnership between
not a partnership. And three partnership. Yes, correct.
The partnership between three.
Yes.
The government that is supposed to provide the resources and the policy directive.
Yes.
The police that does the heavy lifting.
Good.
And the citizens. Because remember,
what is the citizens' job?
Remember.
Man, you know, Michael, you name three. And you name what the government is supposed to do. You name what the police is supposed to do. Tell me what the citizens is supposed to do.
Do you realize that a case in court now? I'm telling you. A case in court now is heavily dependent on I saw you.
Mikey, You said we have 3 pillars that the crime fighting initiative is hinged on.
Yes.
Government, security forces, and citizens.
Citizens.
I agree
Yes.
with you. Now I ask you to name what the specific responsibilities are. You name 2. But you have to
And I
name
pointed out.
what is the citizens?
Using the example of that famous case in the courts, whereas people were required to supply evidence.
Mikey.
Yes.
I provided you with $50 billion to buy equipment to enhance your capabilities of collecting evidence. You don't need me. I pay. This nonsense about telling me that citizens have a responsibility is nonsense.
Can I tell you here? Can I tell you here?
Let me tell you. I would not.
Hold on, Mikey, because your mid-stump got hit out a while ago. I realized you couldn't even move your back. Hold on 1 second. Let's go to Lorraine, and then we'll come to you, Dan. Lorraine, what say you?
The view that I share regarding crime,
yes.
I don't think the request of the people to say that the Minister of National Security has failed, me not buy that. None at all.
None at all.
He is expected to put policies in place and fund those policies to ensure that the persons who I have equipped carry out their duty. No. There are a lot of mediums of persons who you hear them talk about things happening in Clarendon and things happening. If the common man can know, you think the police don't know? And for me, in my opinion, I think a lot of those persons who are reporting are police officers themselves. Now, if you have that kind of information, why don't you act on those information?
Thank you.
You don't have to fabricate it, because I have given you, as the Minister of National Security, the equipments to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the criminal who carried out that act, you trace it. The police are short-handed, they are lazy, they are not committed, and they themselves are corrupt, and that is why we have the problems that we do today.
Young Dan, what say you?
Okay, and I piggyback and agree with Miss Mason that I don't think Dr. Chang is failing at all, understanding what his roles are, his role and responsibility, his job description, right? He's not. But the question I asked wasn't really that. It was about the crime problem we're having in Jamaica.
Yes.
And me and you argue upon this.
Yes.
And we have to dismantle the force. It's a cultural thing. It's a philosophical thing. Even the name force should be removed.
Totally.
It should be gone, and I'm very serious. It should be gone in today's dispensation. That name doesn't jive well at all. Culturally, we need to start from there. Mr. Brown, what you're saying about the citizen, is not wrong enough. But we are not there yet. It will come enough. It will come down the road.
That was the point I'm trying to make.
To go before.
The point I'm trying to make is that there are things being put in place, because we heard about Jamaica Eye. We all got excited and all of that. These are mechanisms that will collect the information, right? Now, until that is properly built out and is in place, we have to have some news carriers.
What is preventing it from being built out?
Jamaica Eye, right? Let's be honest, ask this question. There's a question here. If Jamaica Eye catches a crime happening, can that video be used in court today and convict a person? It can be.
Yes.
Well, yes. It can. But I know one time I wrote on my phone and get a crime. If I don't go to court, it doesn't mean nothing.
No, because they have to there has to be there's a process, but it is admissible, but there's a process.
Okay.
Right, I can call to mind 2 instances where Jamaica Eye really worked. There was a robbery at a gaming place, Supreme Ventures gaming place on Mullines Road. where it was not reported. But the police saw it, they went, they covered the place, and they were able to apprehend the guys without a shot being fired. I don't know if you remember that, some probably about 4 years ago or so. The other one was a man was shot in Swallowfield, and the police was able to use Jamaica Eye and track the criminals to the intersection of Trafalgar Road, Hope Road, and Waterloo Road, where they had a shootout in broad daylight. And this was carried out by a new team that was commissioned by the policymakers. These are some police that are based in Matilda's corner that ride motorcycle, and they were able to corner the criminals there, have a shootout in peak hour traffic in broad daylight. Nobody got hurt. The men were apprehended. So we see where Jamaica Eye will work, can work. There's also an appeal for people.
Michael,
yeah.
Just remember your point that you were saying. I am a business owner in the heart of Town. There are some times when the police need information because of my location, I will facilitate. I am not on Jamaica Eye. I have asked on numerous occasions through the Chamber of Commerce. Some people that the police not have the wherewithal and the guts, and they're not going the extra mile to ensure that they can fight crime with the aid that is being provided. They're not going that extra mile. They're lazy.
I wouldn't dispute that. I would not dispute that. Right? Because I recall my days in the military, you know. There was one time when the whole curfew thing actually returned. There was a lot of curfews. This could be sometime in the early 2000. And my team, the team that I was leading, we got on the ground at 10 o'clock at night to relieve the soldiers that were there before. And we're given my arc, the section I'm supposed to cover, place my soldiers strategically, and then I would rove between them, to ensure that everybody's okay and all of that, and really for command and control. There was a policeman that came there at midnight, and when he came there, he sat on the ground, leaning behind a light pole, pulled his cap down in his face, put his weapon in his lap, and went to sleep because a soldier was standing right there. He went to sleep. I wouldn't tell you what I did, but when he woke up, he never went back to sleep.
Well, let me just explain this to you, Mikey, what my position is. I personally believe that the Minister of National Security would have done exceptionally well. However,
I believe that.
However, on the matter of Commissioner of Police, that is a debatable point. Because while he is the head and would be solely responsible for crafting strategies in combating crime,
the operational aspect of the force.
Yes, that has failed. But if that has failed, it means that all the assistant DSP, SSP, all those would have failed as well. Because
well, I think that's where the problem is.
The commissioner relies on senior officers to bring information and to help him to craft a strategy. If they fail, if those assistants fail, that is why the entire force is failing.
All right, you see, based on how the police force is structured with the commissioner and the high command and all these divisional commanders and all of that, while it makes for a better system to manage the force, it also provides multiple points of failures. Because I remember some time ago, a police station like the Barnett Street police station was headed by a sergeant.
Yes.
You know, that no make it. That no make it. If you have a policeman that is doing well in an area, you find that they transfer him because he's getting too familiar. You know, they talk about community policing, and
Okay.
it is something that has the potential. It will work. But guess what? When the police go in the community, the vehicle them drive is the same one they drive 2 weeks ago when they shoot one boy in the community.
So the same plane that dropped pamphlet is the same plane that dropped bombs.
Exactly. Or drop the food package is the same one that's dropping the bomb.
Yes.
So those are things that need to be addressed.
Yes.
Right? I'm not sure how the promotion system in the police force would have gone. But I suspect
for now it's recommendations. I learned that just last week. For the higher ranks, it's recommendations from their seniors.
Yeah, but what about on merit?
If I don't like you, you don't get any promotion.
Or my time now because I do 40 years already, so no matter how much, no matter my qualification when I do, I'm my time now. Me dey ask for this long time.
My
how disconnected from the system I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
It needs to be dismantled. It needs to be rebranded.
That's my thing.
Retrained, retooled, and start again. And it is something that can be done. There are countries that have gone through similar process, some matter of fact, worse process, where the entire military and police were dismantled and then rebuilt.
Yeah, man, it can be done, man.
I think what is holding us back is that we have not been at that place yet where we are admitting and accepting that the police force has failed because the political directorate continued to absorb and to take the beating for it. No one is coming out and say, I have done what I need to do. Dr. Chang and all the previous ministers have all played to the tune of the police. None of them has the balls to say, I am here waiting one day for Doc to take up the phone or take up the mic and say, I have done what no other commissioner have done what no other minister have done in this country. I have provided more resources than all other ministers put together. And I
but to be fair to Dr. Chang as well, Chapa.
Huh?
Chapa. Think about it.
Yes.
Since 2016, you called the number a while ago, the amount of money have been invested.
$50 billion.
If I need some other jurisdiction, heads of a roll,
Heads of a roll. And the problem is because that the political directorate always take the beating for a failing. Both DNP and JLP,
Yeah, man.
This is the truth. Both sides. And I'm not going to just... It is both sides. They have taken the beating for the force who have failed. The only time that we have seen a reduction in murder significant was when the first state of emergency was imposed in St. James. We had 103 less murders and about 76% overall in reduction. 76% reduction in murders.
But you talk about state of emergency, Chopper.
Yes.
You forget 2010, the gains that were being made.
Yes.
With the state of emergency.
Absolutely. Yes. But again, politics raise its head, and again, I have to blame our party. I have to blame our government because every time
before you go further, Chopper, I was saying, you see, to be fair to Dr. Chang,
yes,
when he took up the job of Minister of National Security, he outlined what I could consider a crime plan, because up to now, nobody can tell what a crime plan is.
But
what I heard from Dr. Chang is that he's going to professionalize the force. He's going to equip the force.
He has
better training, and he's going to weed out the bad eggs.
Is that Dr. Chang's responsibility to weed out the bad eggs? How is he going to do it?
Well, there's some aspect of it that has to come from policy.
Yeah, but he has done that in terms of
He has done
legislation
that.
and policies. He has done that. What
But
I am
still calling for a
simply
crime plan.
saying, Mikey, what I'm simply saying is that we're all afraid of saying that the police force in of itself has failed. I don't know why nobody wants to say it. Everybody is just scared to say it. It is true. They have failed. And that is it. That is really the part of the biggest problem we face. Now, the
I wouldn't go
other,
as far as they failed, though, you know.
why not? Why don't think so?
I
Tell
think
me why. Have they been able to keep us under the international standard where murders per capita is concerned?
yeah, but their training is not even to international standard.
Who?
The police.
You don't think they're
In
adequately trained?
in Indianapolis,
Yes.
I have a brother who's a police there.
Minnesota, yeah.
No man, Indianapolis in Indiana.
Indiana, okay.
Yes, he's a cop there, and he was in training. And about 9 months in the training, he got injured. He had to do surgery on his knee, and he dropped out. And he had to go back into training, and he was in training for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Over a year. When he speaks, right, he will speak about his responsibility in relation to the law.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what our police does. I had to really rip one to shreds last week, where I was driving and a number of people was in the vehicle, and he came up and said, "Everything all right?" I said, "Yes, man, everything is all right. You have anything to declare?" I looked at him.
Mm.
"You have any illegal weapons or anything illegal or anything in the vehicle?" I said, "I have nothing illegal in here." "So you have anything to declare?" And I looked at him again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, why this policeman is seeking to expose me?
Mm-hmm.
He don't know if these people are known to me, and is seeking to expose me. I'll give you that instance again.
I see. Hold on, Mike. I see another lady is joining us here. Bridget. Bridget, how you doing?
Hi, Bridget. How you doing? I was coming from Negril.
Hi, everybody. Pleasant afternoon. Big up on yourself.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good
I was coming from Negril.
Yes.
And it was the same weekend when they had the big parties in Negril.
Mm-hmm.
And between Negril and where I live,
mm-hmm.
I passed 5 roadblocks. Sure, them stopped me.
Yeah.
The first 2 that stopped me, you know, we're very professional. Everything all right. We're just having a spot check. May I look at the documents, the vehicle documents, you know, and I hand over documents. You see, have anything in the vehicle that any illegal stuff, anything to declare? So no, man, I have something to declare, but you know, nothing legal. You say, okay. I didn't take the documents. The other one, the second one, when he stopped me, he was looking in the vehicle. I said, traveling alone. I said, yeah, man. Heading home. Everything all right? I said, yeah, man. Papers up to date. I said, yeah, man. Everything up to date. And I gestured to open the thing for them. I said, no, man. It's all right, man. You may proceed. The third one that stopped me. He never even stopped me. He was standing in the road with a flashlight, LED flashlight.
Yes.
And
flickering in your face.
Yeah. So I came and I stopped. And he pointed to one side and I put on indicator because I'm doing everything right now, you know. Put on indicator, pull over to the side. I passed him a little bit. He came and stood at the tail light, the right tail light of the vehicle. I wind down one window, the driver window. It was a car that the driver window is powered, but the others are wind up.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, good night, sir. We're having a spot check here and so on. Wind the back glass for me, please. I undid my seatbelt. I reached behind the seat and wind down the window because it was a manual winder. So after I wind down, him looking there, I wind back up, say, came to my window now. And he told me his name, really professional and thing. and say we're having a spot check. He want to look at my documents. If you have anything to declare, you know, and things, want to see the documents. I gave him everything. So he's looking at me and say, so because so and so, you know, things say if you wear a seatbelt. He said, I was wearing a seatbelt, but I undo the seatbelt when you ask me to wind down the window because I wind up window. He said, you know, say that does not give you the right to drive without a seatbelt. He said, I know that, but I was wearing my seatbelt. He said, it better tell me say you never know. He stepped across the road, gave the documents to a female over there that wrote me a seatbelt ticket.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
That's
as a result of that,
for you.
I'm going to court on the 27th.
That's the police for you. Yeah. 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 Bridgemar. Bridgemar, how are you doing?
Yes, sir, Chris. I'm here. I'm doing well.
Good. Welcome. What's on your mind?
Thank you.
We're talking about crime.
Well, what's on my mind as it pertains to crime in our country? Crime is everybody's business. And in all fairness, the crime ministry, it is a difficult one, and I am not going to knock Dr. Chang.
I am not knocking Dr. Chang. All I said, I pay somebody a salary every month to make sure that I am safe.
Well, that is true, but one of the things for me with this crime mindset, it doesn't matter how much resources are put into policing. I think there needs to be a revamping of the police force. I have always maintained that the government must put some things into place by employing some overseas person in law enforcement. Let them come to Jamaica. Let them be aware of our laws here for a period of time and take time to clean the force. And I believe that some of the training that the Jamaica Constabulary Force got is outdated. We need more technologically equipped minds to tackle crime in Jamaica. It's not just for the citizens to tell the police what they know. Even if they tell the police what they know, their lives are in jeopardy.
Did you know that the Jamaica Constabulary Force is the most equipped in the Caribbean?
I believe so.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Huh?
I wouldn't be surprised.
They are.
What? Stick up in there, Chris. They're the most equipped, but not the most mentally equipped in terms of its members to carry out such duties. They have the resources, but we can see that they are not using the resources in a wise way. And furthermore, there's a big C apart from crime in the police force: corruption.
The police force can't corrupt itself. It is the citizens who corrupt the police. That's what some people say.
But weren't they trained about certain aspects? For example,
they were trained, just like how people always consistently believe that government is corrupt, but private sector isn't corrupt. Well, let me tell you something. 99.99999% of the corruption within the halls of government is initiated and fueled by private sector.
And of a benefit to the private sector.
Yeah.
Well, I really pray and hope that the government, our government, will take a different stance in crime fighting by just giving a listing here to what I've always been saying. Get some overseas assistance in terms of manpower where they have the expertise. I'm not going to say there aren't any police officers in our force here that don't have investigatory capabilities, but I believe that a lot of the police officers is just doing the job to get a pay. They don't really interested in real crime fighting. And if that is not done, we will always have issues in crime. I know that crime, we're living in an imperfect world, we'll always have crime, but I believe Jamaica, it's too much for us here.
It's not too much. What we need to do is to accept a crackhead or a cokehead or somebody who's on drugs can only be assisted if he or she admit that he's on drugs. The Jamaica Constabulary Force can only be fixed, or the government can only fix the constabulary force if they admit that it is wrong, it is bad. If they admit that it is corrupt beyond repair. If you don't accept that, you won't take the steps to fix it. What you will continue to do is to continue to pour clean wine in a dirty vessel. And we know what the result is.
I agree with you totally.
I don't know if I agree with the notion of getting people from overseas to study our system and train our police. All right. I think that is going to come at a huge cost, and it is going to be difficult for us to be able to prove value for money in such a scenario.
Why?
We have tried some things similar before, and up to now, I still feel we never get value for money.
Why would you? Why would Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Here's what is being proposed. It's not. I don't even know if revamping is the correct word, because what you really need to do is to toss what you have. Throw the baby out with the bathwater, everything. Wash off the clean part of the baby and bring it back. Because I agree that there are persons within the force that would have to come back to help us rebuild. But there are persons who we have to throw out. So in order for you to get this thing clean, you have to remove everybody, wash it out, and then restock it. Because as it is now, you continue to put new recruit and align them with persons who are inherently corrupt. It is the same cycle that we've been practicing for decades. And the only reason why we're having this discussion is because no political party, whether JLP or PNP, both political party continues to absorb the beating and absorb the criticism at the political level. And none of the political persons are willing enough to go out there and say, hey, come on, man, I have done my part. It is not my responsibility to fight crime. The commissioner and the police and the DSP and all them, that's their job. I have given them everything that they've asked me for. Why aren't they delivering? That is what the political directorate needs to start doing. Separate yourself and hold them accountable. Because what is going to happen is that if you don't hold them accountable, then the Jamaican people who hire you will hold you accountable.
Well, I'm not seeing how we could really throw the baby with the bathwater and build from scratch.
Why not?
I mean, I think that is a recipe for mayhem before we could have get a chance.
No. You have the mayhem right now. You're living with it. You're living with the mayhem now.
It could be worse enough.
You are a signatory to the United Nations. And that's what we see. We're coming to you in a quick second. You are a signatory to the United Nations and several other international agencies. European Union, all of those persons. They're our partners. The Caribbean, we are the highest spender in CARICOM. We spend more money in CARICOM than any other country. So we have all of this. The African Union, we're a member of those. The British Commonwealth, we're a member of those organizations. We have a crisis. We're in problem. We need help. We can get a peacekeeping force put together by all those members I just named a while ago, who can come to this country and hold down the fort. Dismantle the police force.
Yeah, but you see,
hold on a second, Mikey. Hold on a second, because drastic times calls for drastic measures.
Yeah, but to get a peacekeeping force in here, you know.
Yes.
What is happening here doesn't rise to the threshold.
Why?
There's a threshold.
How many persons are dead a day? 3,000 Jamaicans are dead? How much more you want for dead before you get to that threshold?
No, it's not what me want. It's not what me want.
How much more are we to kill before we rise to that threshold? Tell me. Then let us not complain then. Since what exists is tenable, let us live with it.
No, Chopper. No, that's not what I'm saying. For you to ask somebody from another country, another jurisdiction, to come into this country to bear arms against the citizens of this country.
Yes.
There's a threshold that has to be met. For example, if you recall when Abu Bakr, I think his name was, stormed Parliament and held him hostage.
The Jamaat al-Muslimin in Trinidad.
Said one. A number of us were taken from JDF to go into Trinidad.
Yes.
But we spent almost 2 weeks in Barbados. For a number of reasons. We're waiting on other forces from the Caribbean, which, to the best of my recollection, never came. And not only that, the situation in Trinidad would have to meet a certain threshold for you to have military forces or paramilitary forces from another country coming in there to bear arms against the citizens. That threshold is not met in Jamaica.
You're not bearing arms against the citizens. You're manning the various police stations. That's what you're doing. That's what
you don't remind me of. You don't remind me of.
Yes, Grenada.
There was a riot in the prison in Spanish Town. And the soldiers were called in and they went in there and really contained it. Yes. And they ended up in court.
Yes.
You know, because there were some people contending that the soldiers really beat them on them. And there was one soldier on the stand who was, outlining a situation that he was involved in. And when he explained what he did, the lawyer for the prisoners said, "So you beat the man?" He said, "No, sir. We subdued him."
We're going to bring. All right, Donovan Jones, how you doing? Welcome, sir. How you doing?
Yes, yeah, man. Bless up, Chopper. Bless up. Yeah. When I was invited to join, I didn't know it was you, Chopper. I didn't know it was your thing. I've been following your thing for the longest while, Chopper.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So, right. The issue, some of the issue that I see with the police right now, and I can declare that I'm a ex-police.
We're ex-police, we're ex-military. It gets no better than that here, and I'll be here to remind both of you your contribution.
Yes. When I heard Michael, that's Michael, white shirt.
Yeah,
I heard Michael.
Just a second, Donovan. We acknowledge Mr. Dabney is trying to come on as well. We're gonna bring Mr. Dabney on a few. Go ahead, Donovan.
Yeah. So when I heard Michael mention the Trinidad thing, it does bring back memories to me of Grenada, because I was one of the team that went to Grenada.
Oh, good.
I was also one of the team that went to Namibia for 1 year with the United Nations. So I have both sides of the training. I don't know if Michael remember that time when we were training soldiers as police. Vice versa. Yes. That's in the 80s.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm one of that. I'm coming from that whole school there.
So you're familiar with Bully Cotton and Bob Williams and all those guys?
Yeah, man, a lot of them guys. Yeah. Because when we went there, Trinity was in the team and all of that. SSP strong. What my immediate command was I'll get you his name in a bit. A very well known name. Anyway, the issue as it stands now, I see I'm still in law enforcement, but on a non-active level. Okay, in the UK, I'm still with MOJ, etc. Still doing security, still with the ministry, but not active like police out on the street. Okay, I'm an analyst and I do all that other stuff. But I still have my connections in the police and do my bit. Now, one of the as you rightfully said, I don't think if it's Chopper or it's you, Michael. Since I leave the force and Jamaica, the JCF as it is today is still 20 years behind what it should be. I heard one of you, I think you, Chopper, said that they're still operating in the 1960s. Yes, I agree. They are really way behind than they should be. I'm very surprised that in the digital age that they are not on par. Okay, now one of the things that the Jamaica Constabulary Force need, and I don't know why they can't get that right, they need a proper intelligence arm.
You have it.
A very good intelligence arm. They need a very good forensic arm. Since I come to England here, I qualified as a forensic analyst and all of that. Jamaica needs a very good forensic arm. We not talk few man here and there, and a good forensic arm that includes pathologists, proper crime scene investigators,
Mr. Jones, can I say
photographic.
something to you real
Yes,
quick?
man. Yeah,
The
man.
stuff that you just listed a while ago, this Jamaica Constabulary Force and the military has every single one that you spoke of.
But they're not being
$50
used then.
billion. They have it. They have it. First world standard too. And they have individuals who have gone overseas to the United States, Canada, and Britain and got the requisite training.
True, yeah, I know that.
Sort of situations. So I am saying to you that there's no lack of equipment and training. I'm not saying that, let me not say that, because truthfully, there are equipment that we're still requiring. But as it relates to training, like in forensic and all that stuff, we have it.
But the adequacy of what obtained in the Chopper is another thing.
That is true. How far are we away from the optimal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or not even the optimal, functional.
Yes.
Chopper, there is no way a crime scene that involves a shooting with multiple murders / death can be processed in 1 hour. No way.
No.
That's one of the things that they need to sort out. The time that they
Another
spend
challenge
at
with
crime
that as
scene.
well is that the citizens contaminate it first before they get
Yeah,
there.
that's true. Totally agree. That's another issue.
Securing a crime scene is an issue.
Yes, securing a crime scene is an issue.
Yeah.
Securing a accident crash scene, I see, is also a big issue in Jamaica.
These are basics,
Yeah,
you know. And I think the mechanism is in place.
that is true. No,
because in INDICOM, when there's a police shooting, and I'll just cut to there 1 second, Donovan. When there's a police shooting, immediately the police tend to secure that area and wait for INDICOM to come. That is how it's supposed to be. Now, I have seen instances in Jamaica where citizens are in the middle of what is a crime scene, having arguments with the police.
I have seen police. I have seen police allow citizens.
Yes.
I have seen police lift the tape and allow citizens and the crime scene to go look on the body because of them brother or them man or etc. Which is wrong. But in saying all of that, the broader issue that I pick up from my connections there also is the psychological aspect of it. One of you mentioned about the recruit. Now, there is too much complacency, laziness, and lack of desire and will in the police now.
Yes.
One of it mainly arises from the endemic genetic thing that's in our society: make a money, or survive, or hustle, or grease palm, or whatever. Yeah. Become a Jamaican, and almost every thing that you want and you do. If you not grease up arm, you're not gonna get through. So as you rightfully said, the corruption is bigger on the outside. And I keep posting this every day that I cannot understand how the populace call politician corrupt when the populace is so totally corrupt. Everything. So in what they I think part of the solution is, as you said, yes, is have an attractive package. The training needs to revamp. I don't think we can totally ban the force and start over. But we have to do a lot of inside weeding out and retrain.
Because we have
Outside,
tried this retraining, we've been trying this retraining over the years, and it just never worked. You see, my problem is continue to do the same thing over and over and sitting here like smart people expecting a different result. It's called insanity.
Chopper, I think sometimes the problem too is we get the wrong minister. We might also get the wrong commissioner.
But what I'm saying to you, in the case of ministers, on both sides, let us agree that somebody have a feedback. I don't know. That sounds like you, Mr. Dabney. I don't know. But somebody has a feedback there. But let me tell you, we have spent a significant amount of money on our security forces.
Yeah, somebody have a feedback. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a member that's joined us a while ago. Let's see. All right. I think it should be off now. But we have spent billions, and I tell you, the Dr. Chang, between himself and Montague, who was there before Dr. Chang, would have started some of it. But the GLP administration would have spent in excess of $50 billion on the security forces, both military and police. And I cannot understand why is it that after you did all that, you still have to take the flak for the security forces. It can't be. And that's why I'm saying that it must be contextualized as to who is responsible for what. I cannot understand why the Constitution said the minister must provide resources and legislative support to the security forces. And if you ask anybody in the dead of night, they can tell you that this administration would have done that. No journalist out there with any straight or whose word his or her salt could come to us and tell us that Dr. Chang has not fulfilled his mandate as a national security minister. They can't question it. I've asked Cliff Hughes on more than one occasion. And there's no denying that. So if there's no denying that, what else are you holding him accountable for? What are you holding him accountable for?
I don't think that to be honest, it's a Dr. Chang problem. Because I would give him a 90 plus. But
of course,
I must say that a lot of the senior officers in the force, and I would say from the rank of assistant superintendent to possibly senior probably ACPs.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there needs to be probably a shaking up, a review of their performance.
They do the shake up all the time. That's what I'm simply saying, Donovan, is that we have done these already. The only other thing that we have not done so far is to pick up that pan with baby and bath water and throw it outside. Don't damage the baby. Take your time and gently put it down and pour them out. Go out there with a hose and wash them off and restock it. The police force as we know it today cannot function. Nobody can dispute that. They've been around for 138 years. And every single year from 1962 until now, our murder rate has continued to go up. nobody at all who is on a payroll should be continued to receive a salary with that sort of performance. Nobody. And if you're afraid to fire them and think that they can go to court, they can't. Because the labor law says that when you fire somebody based on performance, they can't go to court. So if it's the court you're worried about, you don't have nothing to worry about. Because it says performance. Have they performed? Tell me,
Chopper.
have they performed? No.
Chopper.
Yes,
well, it's not as easy as that, Chopper. It is not as easy as that, because if you before you can really bring that kind of remedy,
yes,
you always hear the trade unions, which the police have a very powerful one, talk about due process, and that would entail a number of things.
Like what?
Like you have to write. Yeah, you have to write him. You have to,
yes.
Discipline after and all that.
Nothing wrong. You can wrap up that process in about 6 months.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's a 1 year process. Every 90
but
days.
that would not be the remit. That would not be the remit of the police high command or the ministry.
Who would it be? Who would it be?
It would be his local command.
But he responsible for them.
Yeah, so how are you going to get the local command to write in such a letter when the local command doesn't think he's,
well, if the local command refuse to carry out his or her duty, if the police force is incapable of put together a roster that can determine the hours that they work, they can't even do that. That's basic 101 in management, you know.
Well, I think where we would have to start where that is concerned is have like a term of reference, if you may, or some black and white.
It's there already.
Or some performance,
It is there already. And
I don't think what is there is sufficient.
Sir Dabney, greetings to you, my brother. How you doing?
Blessings, man. Very interesting discussion. Very interesting discussion. And I've been listening in, and I must say that there is an easy fix for this if we have the guts and the balls to do it.
That is what we're lacking.
I also want to applaud Dr. Chang for making the boldest statement ever.
Yes,
shoot to kill.
That's a dangerous
I
statement.
declare that it is only in Jamaica, only in this country called Jamaica, that a civilian, a citizen can attack the police in the ways that I've seen on social media. You know, social media is profound because it shows the inadequacy of the police. It shows the inadequacy of the citizen. It shows a policeman being tossed to the ground after so much months of training by an individual who is overpowering him. Yes. It shows a police force that lacks something. You cannot be in a public space and not know how to even position yourself to hold somebody that is resisting arrest. You end up on the ground. That is nonsense, lunacy. Mm-hmm. And all it is tantamount to do is comedy. Because you cannot have a citizen attacking the police. More so in the army. When a soldier raises his firearm, it's not for show. No. It's not a show. It is not to say to a citizen, stay back. The reality of it when the army is out there, in my own humble opinion, is to maintain law and order and to ensure that the citizen respects the uniform of the police officer, respects his artillery, and knowing that he's not there to play with you. He gives you a command, you respect it. Because in the army, if your superior in the army gives you a command, you're duty bound to follow, you're going to be court-martialed.
Yes.
So why then do we go on the streets and allow some people in some corners, public square, wanton disorder to overpower the police based on the fact that a few people around say leg of the man or leave the man alone? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. And yes, I have also served the Neighborhood Watch movement for a number of years. And as I've said in the chat, that I'm aware of some of the anemia faced by the police force. the territorial nature, the reactive measures that is being exercised, and the just getting by. The police force must be seen as an organization that must be held by some accountability standards. They must be held by performance, because when there is imbalance in terms of remuneration, the union of the police force is very vocal, vociferous in their expressions of expectations. But they are not holding the rank and file accountable to a performance standard that see within the 19 divisions and 5 areas of the police force, which is led by a senior officer at the divisional level and at the area level, and equally so at the station district level. What is the accountability system that filters to the station districts by the divisional command and then accountable by the area command? If we do not get to a point where accountability at every level, what is happening now is mediocrity. And I will tell Dr. Chang that you need to move a step further by saying to every area commander, every divisional commander, you don't clean up crime in your space or do things that is going to allow for crime to be reduced, then you have to be shifted.
No, not shifted, fired.
Well, that is what I really want to say. You're going to be fired.
Yes,
because nobody owes any one of them at the area level, the divisional level, or the station district level any obligation. And if this was an organization, it would crumble, because based on public opinion of patronage of the JCF, they would all be fired by public opinion. Why then do we continue to keep them? Why then do we continue to pay lip service to what you call? You have 14 parishes in Jamaica, and if you do a dissecting of the parishes in terms of where the crimes are, every parish have a link to the next one based on particular routing. So if you're doing an operation by cordoning off Clarendon, how do the criminals pass you and end up in Manchester, in St. Elizabeth? Yes. How do they pass? Where is the intelligence of the community safety and security branch when it comes to interacting with the citizens on a daily basis? If I was commissioner tomorrow, the community safety and security branch would become the elevated branch of the JCF where intelligence is concerned. The CSSB branch is losing because the territorial nature of the area command give to CSSB what they think they deserve, because they are just a office administrative unit. When in truth and in fact, you need to build that sort of a trust with the citizens in order for them to feed you with information and for you to operate as a proactive unit and a reactive unit. Investigating crime where people are killed is not the answer to Jamaica's problem. So we must get to a point where the community safety branch become endemic to the performance of the police force, if I must use that word. I went to Palm Bay with James Forbes over a few years ago, where we look at the 78 police within the Palm Bay Police Department, and they have an active VCOP unit, it's voluntary citizens on patrol.
Yes.
And the citizens voluntarily go in and work with the police, and information, every day a citizen enter that police station, information comes with it. And they are successful. What do? We are reactive, we are top heavy, non-performing, very vocal when it comes to remuneration. And at the end of the day, what do we? If this was a business, all of us would be bankrupt. And we need to get to that point where Dr. Chang need to craft some more statements and say, not to the public this time, but to the JSC, if you don't clean up crime, it is better you are fired than me. I'm tired of the public pressure. You must now perform because you are paid. That's what Dr. Chang must now do.
Yes.
And it must take place sooner rather than later.
I agree with you 100%. No, that
but
is where
gentlemen,
Dr. Chang goes.
Gentlemen,
what say you like it?
To say to a divisional commander or a formation commander, you must clean up crime or else.
Yes.
It's very vague.
What is wrong? What is wrong with that?
No, I'm not saying it's wrong.
So what would you say then? If you wouldn't say that, how would you coin it?
What it needs is actually a strategic analysis of the various areas. And this is where it's going to take a lot of resources, because it's not a one size fit all.
When you say a
You have to
strategic
understand.
analysis, what are you talking about, Michael? Because
Look here, Sir
this
Brown.
force has
Sir
been
Brown,
around for
with all
decades.
due respect, I say this to you, that it is not a one size fit all, but every area within the JCF, the leadership of that area must understand the geographical nature. They must understand the culture. They must understand what is happening in every single community. If they're not trying to do that, then measure the time that they are within the area. And if you hold them accountable to the fact that this is an organization that you have gotten to manage, I'm going to hold you accountable to acknowledge. If you ask one of the station commanders now, or even one of the station commanders, let's look at the station districts, how much communities are in their space. I can tell you, they are going to fail that test. If you communities, how much streets, how much areas, they are going to fail the test. They might have,
the first things
that ask somebody to give them a space. Well, let me finish, Sir Brown. Let me just finish. It is knowledge of your organization, knowledge of your space, and you, the area commander, the divisional commander, because they meet, they meet for debriefing and all of that, maybe on a Monday morning or within the month, where everybody comes together, station commands, divisional commanders, area commander, being the accountable pillar. And they debrief one another, what is happening in your space. They have to be able to understand the nature of Area 5, the nature of Area 4, the nature of Area 3, Area 2, and Area 1. And the divisional commanders have to understand their space too. So if everybody starts with an understanding of how crime occurs within their space, it is their responsibility to develop a strategy. You can't ask for a national strategy when the Minister of National Security is not aware of what is happening in your space.
But the national
you have to develop that strategy. You have to come to the table with that strategy that is going to make you become a successful area coordinator, divisional coordinator, or station commander.
May I add this to what you're saying there, Sir Dabney? Is that, earlier, one of the arguments was that the citizens have a responsibility to assist with fighting crime, and that the citizens owe it to provide information and all that stuff to the police. And I disagree, because as a citizen, my sole responsibility is to ensure that I pay my taxes. I hire the Jamaica Labour Party government to ensure that I am secure. They would have subcontracted out that responsibility to the JCF, right? The JCF is responsible to ensure that the citizens are secure. Essentially, that's what it is. The JCF and the government put in place a mechanism, a chain of command. The minister's responsibility is to provide resources, legislative support, and other stuff that would be needed. I am not aware in any part, and if you are aware, let me know, where the minister is responsible for crafting a crime plan. Are you aware of that, Donovan?
That's a rubbish. That's a rubbish, Virgin.
No, this whole crime plan argument, man.
This whole crime plan argument are rubbish. Rubbish.
Good.
Rubbish.
So when people come with that expectation, that's why I want to look at how you hold people accountable is when you know and establish what is required of both parties. So we know what the requirements are for the minister, and we know what the requirements are for the commissioner. The commissioner needs to hold his men accountable. You see, it comes down, we have to narrow it down, We have to narrow this down to who is responsible. How do you hold somebody accountable if you don't know what the requirements are? So people are convoluting the two issues. Nobody understands how to separate the responsibilities of the commissioner from the responsibility of the minister. And that's where we got the thing confused and everybody's all over town. Donovan, if you can, and Mr. Dabney, I think both of your phone is horizontal. Can you set it landscape? And that will give you a better screenshot, huh?
No, the phone is vertical.
Yes, vertical.
It's vertical. That's why.
Right.
Chopper.
Yes.
Maybe Michael might. I don't know Michael time of service, but maybe Michael can recall some of this.
23 years, 2010.
Okay. Well, I'm talking.
You rotate it, Michael, from within the phone, Sir D.
So that means you have to turn off the camera and then you do the rotation on the phone, or else it's not going to rotate.
Okay, I'm doing that. Okay.
Yes, and it will give you a better shot in the screen. But go ahead, Donovan. You were saying. Perfect,
Yes.
Donovan. You're good.
In the onset of the GLP in 1980, yeah, Mr. Siaga's era, Joe Williams' era, they established a team within the Mobile Reserve, which I was a part, because that is my era in the JCF, yeah. And that team from the Mobile Reserve, which I know understand is not the CTAC, I'm not sure. Inside that you have 3 teams called Ranger Squads, 1 and 2. Then you have a bike squad that was called Raiding Squad. Yeah, some people on the street call it the Honda Squad. Totally different from the other bike from Ellison Road and etc. etc. Now, these teams were tasked with targeting anywhere in the island, the troubled spots, and deal with certain things, deal with the matter. Okay? I think and that was to me the best era of the force in being active and getting rid of criminal gangs, etc., etc., etc. Now, what I see happening is you have, let's say, in the sense of Westmoreland, the commanders put that men on the main road, stop a few vehicles. That now go cut it, brethren. You need men that are trained in the up to a level like probably what Michael used to, because the team that went to Trinidad, when this thing happened, and the team that went to Grenada, which I said I was a part. So it's a paramilitary unit. You need men who can go out there at 3 o'clock and surround an area. Men who can withstand certain aspect of the weather. That was what was happening in the 80s. Me not have to ask nobody, me know. Right? We used to, I don't know if you guys remember that every 2 weeks there was a team that was sent to Montego Bay from Kingston, from the Mobile Reserve. And we would camp out with the soldiers. You remember the era of the V-150 military?
Yeah, man.
And military police patrol, when you guys from camp used to come down a Mobile Reserve with the V-150 and the little flat Jeep.
Even with the Jeep.
Yes. Yeah.
Now when you're gonna patrol, you'd go Mobile Reserve and pick up the police and you head out there and do your duty and drop out the police, then you come back to camp.
And sometimes that was from a Kingston perspective.
Yes.
Then you would have every 2 weeks a team was sent to Montego Bay of probably 25-50, and they rotate
I
every.
suspect those would come from Monig.
No. It was just Mobile Reserve. And when we went to Montego Bay, we used to be at Montego Inn. That's now just by the big roundabout near to Kentucky. Okay? We didn't have any interaction with the Montego Bay police, because Montego Bay police up to now, St. James, think that they're a force unto themselves, or a different JCF, so to speak. I think they still have that kind of thing going on. We then used to link up with the soldiers from 3JR. Lieutenant Chambers was my very good friend those times. And we would camp out at Sugar Mill Road up near Flower Hill, just under Flower Hill, in Army camp. So we would patrol places like Salt Spring, not on the main road, brethren. We go through the bush. Sometimes we spend hours out there. Days out there without beard, 1 week without shower. We used to go Warwick Hill and we camp out. That was the night. That now happen again. Because everybody know a fancy boy and a flat. Brethren, the force need a proper unit like back in the 80s. Thanks to Mr. Siaga, thanks to Joe Williams. You know what I mean? And people like C-Roy Bailey, who used to head those units. Yeah.
Bridgemore, are you still with us?
As I said, the commanders need to be held responsible for commanding the men.
Come on, we have to start whole, and
Because
I think Mr. Dabney,
the soft thing now gonna work at Jamaica. I cannot understand, Chopper, and I'm gonna ask you a quick question. I cannot understand when you have an area like Rome. Yes, a area like Rome. You know what Rome is?
Yeah.
You know, top jungle, that section there.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, etc. You have men in an area like Rome.
Rome is closer to the Chinese cemetery side.
Yes, yeah, man. Top jungle, Rome, Gem Road, Russell Road, that little section there.
Lincoln Road and there.
Yes. You have men there trading gunshot for 2 hours. And you can't find a detachment to surround them. That used
because
to
if you
happen
can't find a particular year, you must find it. You don't leave until you find it.
Exactly. That used to happen in the 1980s, Chopper. Mr. Brown. That is what used to happen. We used to surround an area from all 3 o'clock. No man I go out on operation like 6 o'clock. No man, it not gonna work like that. And you don't stop. I don't even know. Is the JCF using things like drones? Do they have a night vision, a crime scene, spot a helicopter?
I know the helicopters have a thing called FLIR. That's a forward-looking infrared device.
Yeah.
The last time I'm aware that it was used, maybe it was used since, but in 2010, it was very instrumental when they light the fire in Tivoli, because that was the only thing they could use to actually see on the ground. Because they can't see through the smoke, see through the dark.
You have those now. But Chopper, you tell Jamaica can afford even one, and they can equip.
Listen to me, Mr. Donovan, Mr. Brown, Mr. Dabney. Listen to me, man. We're talking about common sense policing, right? If we cannot afford to put enough boots on the ground, there's a thing called camera. And I'm telling you right now, if the persons in Montego Bay, if the local authorities in Montego Bay decide that they want to enhance security in Montego Bay, there's several ways to do it. You can ask the parish council to enforce a law, move a motion that says every business that is applying for business license must have camera as part of their outfit for their business place. Simple. If you can't get that, then the light pole belongs to the government, a part of the government infrastructure. Buy some cheap camera. They're not expensive. Cameras are not expensive.
Why isn't the Jamaica Constabulary, why isn't Jamaica Constabulary Force of a most major capitals carpeted with camera?
Don't know.
Because the camera facilities can be rented out. They can make back the money by renting it out to the news. The news people and other companies, security company. What?
Well, I can tell you about Spanish Town. Spanish Town have a number of cameras, and what they did, they erect these tall aluminum poles and put them on it. And some of them are PTZ cameras. That's the one where you can actually rotate, zoom, and zoom.
That's yes. They need them. They need one leap of that, and they need a team.
What you find in Spanish Town is that. Well, my problem with it, because I do security cameras as a business as well. One of my problems with the camera system is that it is too central. It's too central. So the cameras in Spanish Town are viewed in Kingston. You need to have a center in Spanish Town where the camera is viewed and a quick response team deployed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right? And then we have the cameras at the stoplights. And what do you think those cameras do? Knock out your phone call when you pass under the light.
Let me tell you
Say
something.
that again.
In
Say that
America,
again.
They decide to put some cameras on stoplights, you know, because the new road traffic act is going to allow them to send a ticket, give you a ticket if you run a light or so on.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. But what I observe is when you're driving and you're on a phone call, anytime you pass under a light, a stoplight that has a camera on it, your car drop.
Really? Because
Yeah,
listen. London is one of the most carpeted city with camera. Every road intersection and everywhere. For those of you guys who maybe know London, have camera every motorway, every road system. It tells a lot. I've never heard of the problem because I myself may drive. So I'm gonna work right there in central London, just crossway from Parliament. So
what I saw in
we
China
never have that.
was multiple arrays of camera everywhere. There was one guy, I think he was from one of the African countries, was asking the coordinator if he could get back his passport because he wants to rent a car. He wasn't comfortable with them taking his passport. And the guy said, well, he don't need a passport to rent a car. So he said, what if the police stop me? He said, my friend, in China, we have one police to 14,000 people. But when you go outside of the gate, your hotel or, in our case, the university that where it was, when you go outside that gate, every turn you turn, there's a camera. And those cameras are equipped with facial recognition.
Thank you.
If you were really monitoring what was happening in China with the COVID, there were some people who tested positive and were supposed to remain in their house. Them go through them gates for go to the supermarket. And the police come right there, come pick them up. Because they're not supposed to be there. No, Jamaicans would frown on that and call the invasion of privacy.
They don't need to frown. Invasion of privacy when people are kill you. Mr. Dabney, in America, sir, when you go to a parking lot at Walmart or some of these big shopping malls, there are some simple carriers with big uprights with lights and cameras on it. And it has a police light flashing. And you must treat that light similar
like
to
a
police station.
Exactly.
It's police property. It has the law to back it. You can't do nothing at all to it. If you throw a stone at it, if you try to dismantle it, you will be committing a felony and a serious crime. So it is all over. Everywhere you go, they put it up. And what it is.
What about number plate recognition? Does the police cars in Jamaica now can read number plate recognition? Do they have that capability?
Yes, you see,
they have the capability.
One of the things that I'm looking at is the fact that we know, let's say, a Spanish Town here, Spanish Town. That's a geographical space. I believe that the space can be fenced. If for any reason at a particular time, 1:05, a crime takes place within a Spanish Town area, the person either is in Spanish Town, or let's say use a community for want of a space that is easier to manage and monitor. Something happens within a particular community. The person is either in the community or have exited the community. If they have exited the community, either walk, foot, or whatever means, they can be recognized. If it is a motor vehicle that they would have left the community in, the motor vehicle can be recognized. And once that happens within that particular time, based on a real-time response, I'm of the opinion that some of the crimes could be solved. But I'm not an advocate for reactive measures. Yes, we have to use it. But I believe that we must have some proactive measures in place, stringent proactive measures that can bring to justice or even to sort of mitigate against the crime taking place. But yes, we have the technology in Jamaica. I think we just need to use it and start to identify in real time where the problems are, zeroing on them based on the camera technology.
Because we have the license plate recognition technology here. Because when you go to the airport and put in the parking lot, you punch a button and a paper come out with your license plate on it. The tool.
Exactly.
The tool. Same thing. So the technology is here, but it's just not being used.
Exactly. And you can link the toll, in other words, a police officer is at the end of the toll. When you go through that toll, there must be a scanning of our license plate. And if there is anything as it relates to a breach within a particular license plate, the highway patrol should be able to stop you and pull you over for a particular reason. That would be policing. Why are we not using that is something to be asked?
There's a case that gave me some amount of hope some years ago, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. A laptop was stolen at UWI. I think the owner laptop was robbed, and and they were able to track the car from the UWI. And I was made to understand that the Ferry police station was notified because the car was heading in that direction. And the car passed the police before the police come out. They reacted late. The car went to Portmore and was in Portmore and heading back out of Portmore, and they notified Ferry police station again, and the car passed before they get out there. And they were able to stop the car. I think it's on West Avenue, that road that comes right in front of Subway. That's where the police was able to stop the car.
Now, who holds that police station accountable to the real-time response to a crime that has taken place? Who hold them accountable? Chopper John, they must be fired.
I agree with you, man. That's where I'm at, man. Fire them. They're not performing. Why do?
I think it's a case of putting the car before the horse going up.
I agree. The commanders in Westmoreland, St. G, they're a disgrace. Man are right on pan yang at will.
Only reason why
I think it's a classic case of putting the car before the horse, because here it is that you have this capability to pick up these things, but you don't have the reactionary force.
Well, one of the questions to be asked.
Maybe when they called for the police station, there was nobody there apart from the person at the station guard.
Because what happened to the communication network across the police force, where if something is happening in Arnett Gardens, even the Elsha police will be aware that it is happening and know, just like how the taxi services uses that technology. You call it shooting the thing. The fact of the matter, the call come out about a pickup in Hamilton Gardens. All the persons who are on that network are aware, and who catches it first and said, yes, I'm available. Go pick up the passenger. Yeah. Where is the police within this context of a simple network, a simple technology that can be utilized, and they respond in real time? I guess some of them are having their lunch. And so say, boy, I met that one man, because boy, I eat, move till me you done my lunch, Are they really operating in a manner that characterize real time and real policing and working for an honest dollar in serving, protecting, and reassuring the citizen? I lose my laptop, there's serious information on it, and a response goes over the police network, and a man decides, well, I make him eat him lunch first. I'm happy that none of them are doctors, because I would die.
Lorraine, Mason is on.
Chopper, just before, I noticed also something. I was in Jamaica some few years ago, and I go through a police checkpoint, and I had to stop and say to the police guys, where are your two cut-off units? Because I don't see any, you don't have any. Because in Jamaica, what will happen? And I just can't understand how over the years the police can't get that. And
I think the police
going back to the 80s.
Of checkpoints,
Going back in the 80s, that was what used to happen.
Accountable, Mr. Dabney.
I think because it is now illegal to shoot at a moving vehicle.
No. That's not what the cutoff. Here what it is. Let's say you are at Ferry Police Station, okay, carrying out, say, checks. You have one team. You know that, Michael. You have one team about a half a mile up the road. So all those criminals who would get said tip off that the police are up there and turn around or whatever. You have those two cut-off units down the road, one about half mile both ways. Okay, to intercept all of those people.
F0057 retreating in your direction, stop that vehicle, done.
Yeah, exactly, because the cut-off unit will know and observe, and this is again where technology will help. Will know which vehicle passed through not too long ago and obviously turn around coming back this way, both ways. You don't have that. And I don't see them things happening anymore.
Well,
You
how much
know,
it costs to implement that sort of system? These are not even costly ventures. These are just common sense.
Exactly.
So is the JCF undermanned in terms of their strength? What they up to now? How much thousand?
They're
Because
undermanned in terms of holding them accountable. They are well trained and they are fairly, very
Let me tell you
fairly
something.
equipped.
Sir Donovan.
manpower wise, they have enough people.
No.
They are
No.
behind by a couple thousand.
I think they're up to about 10,000 or 12,000 now.
Yeah, 12,000 to, yeah, so.
Yes, and they want to get to 18.
3,000, right?
They have something they call force multipliers. You see, if you have a policeman, say, or a team on ferry, and they have a portable camera there with license plate recognition, how a wanted vehicle will pass? You see what I'm saying?
Look here, man. Look here.
These are simple things that they can do.
We really don't, I don't think we want to say it, you know. But as Chopper will say, desperate times deserve serious measures. One, freedom is not, when it comes to freedom, it does not mean you are free to do anything you want.
Freedom
and freedom is relative. So the reality of this is that we are having what you call an expanding murder rate every single year. And all we are going to do and say it was 1,300 last year, and we are happy to declare that there's been a reduction of 5%. And we are gloating about that 5%.
As if it's okay to have
How much of
200
Jamaicans have lost a loved one because of criminals? Let me tell you this, and I'm saying it publicly. Some of us have to die for the truth. I don't care what anybody wants to say. But for me, once you are determined to walk in the pathway of criminality, scamming, drug pushing, whatever it is that you're going to walk within the context of your breaching law and order. You do not deserve to exist at the expense of the taxpayers. You do not deserve what you'd want to call legal aid. You don't deserve it.
But tell us something, you know.
I must also give the fact that you must treat every situation on its own merit. But if you are a repeat offender, if you are a criminal, and you know that you're a criminal, and the community and your family know that you're a criminal, and intelligence points to that, then I will say to the human rights group, go to hell, because you're not helping Jamaica. We must have a set of people, and I said last night in a posting, I said, I would love the human rights group. Yes, man, I'm saying it. I would love the human rights group to come out and say, hey, Chopper, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Yeah, just calling the names, recognizing each of us. If the human rights group ever come out and say that right is relative, it does not mean that you have a right to continue to kill and expect to live. Dr. Chang has made a statement that says that none of you have to die. Not one of you. Just heed the call of entire Jamaica to say that we are intolerant of crime and violence. And if you are intolerant of something, as an individual, you're going to react.
Yes.
If the country is intolerant of something, the country is going to react. Dr. Chang is intolerant of the crime that is taking place as the minister, then he must react. And we would be willing to stand up and say, Dr. Chang, you have made a bold statement, take it a bit further.
Yes.
Let every Jamaican understand that you can live forever.
His statement.
But you must be obedient to law and order.
Use of force, policy of the force, you know. Right? His statement is in use of, because what he said is that the police should shoot to kill. I mean, paraphrasing. He said he's not sending no ambulance out there for you. The police have a responsibility to take you up when they shoot you. So there's no need to send no ambulance.
Under what circumstances he said that? He said if you shoot at the police, and people are forgetting that part of the statement. No,
exactly. Yeah, well, I take that as a given. That's what he said.
Shoot at the police, you deserve to die.
Exactly. And not only that, if you shoot at a citizen and the police is in the vicinity and you shoot at a citizen, you deserve to die too.
Totally.
Yeah, but look here.
So let us boldly interpret what Dr. Johnson suggests in our own best interest.
I am a first-hand victim of crime. My car was shot up, and my husband did 19 days on life machine and 3.5 months at the University of the West Indies Hospital. His lungs, his liver, his diaphragm, his small intestine, and his stomach was bored by gunshot. They waited us on our way from, and I was pregnant with my last son. I was the one who drove away from those gunmen. Listen to me. None of these human rights activists have never faced a gun.
They could not have.
That. Hey, they're taking on Dr. Chan for what he said. And the day after that, the same day while they were talking, they shot a man in his belly, torch him house, kill him and the baby, and not a word out of them.
Exactly. In 1988, they killed my boss in Central Village, and I will rehash that. In Central Village, they killed my boss, but with a hold up and pumped 2 bullets into me. I am enjoying life now because I live every single day. But every single day of my life, that's why I serve the Neighborhood Watch movement and I declare a chief informer. You're a criminal, and I know I'm going to talk. Come if you wish. But I'm going to be proactive. The reality of it, my family would have been deprived of me in 88. My children would have been deprived of me. The gunman did not fear pulling that trigger. He did not pull the trigger thinking I would live or I would get another year on my life. He pulled the trigger because he wanted to kill me. How dare me countenance a gunman, a criminal? Not one ounce of my being will countenance that. And that's why I said to the government, you must make the bold statements. Send a message to the criminals that they are persona non grata in this country. We are not going to subject another life to criminality.
I agree with you. And
they must be expunged either with a gun or they must go live out a steamhead shark eat them.
As strong as we are with the police, giving them the authority, and I agree with you, Sir Damney, because you would have made that statement earlier, that he needs to take the same stand in holding the police accountable within their various divisions.
Exactly.
Because that's where accountability starts. Gentlemen, this was a riveted one. We're going to do it again. I thank you so much. Donovan, appreciate you coming through. Mikey Brown, as usual.
Yes, man.
Dabney, as always. We're going to
level
do it again.
The vibes, man.
And the lone female who's left with us, Miss Lorraine Mason. Good to have you.
Yes,
pleasure was mine.
We'll talk again.
And Chopper, from another perspective, I'm preparing for another beating somewhere else.
No, man, I think you're going to win.
I didn't say what it is. I didn't say what it is. Mr. Brown might know.
You are not going to
not right.
You're in good stead. You have a soldier right there, you know.
I know.
In Michael Brown, right there.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Level the vibes, man. Chop up peace, man. Team members.
Yeah, man. One love.
All right,
all right, take care.
Thank you all. We're good. All right. All right, so there you have it, folks. That was one of those impromptu that we like to do. Thanks to everybody who joined us earlier. Sunny Day, Kevin Brown. Who else is here? Cheryl Smith, Marjorie. Just about everybody. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to come back again and do this one more time. Chops Media was live. Take care. Peace. And we are out.